Yeah, I'm gonna that just.
Pretty all set?
Ready.
All right, excellent. Tonight's Oregon Town Board meeting will come to order. Jennifer, if you would please do the roll call
Carl Walzer,
here.
Lori Fitzgerald here, Arlen Kai,
Here.
Steve Jernigan,
Here.
Tim LeBrun.
Here.
Okay, excellent, thank you. I want to shift around a couple things on the agenda for item 9, the fire and EMS report. We talked about a work session for some of this stuff. I would like to move both the Oregon and Belleville to a work session scheduling maybe this week, or we'll talk about that for the end when we have a list of meetings. Okay, so I'd like to bump those to a work session type meeting. Great. It'll really just be, it could be 2 hours of just looking through documents. So that I'm excited too. And then I would like to, because we've got folks here to participate in public comments, I would like to move that up to now. And then we'll pick up the minutes and the financial things after that. So let me describe just for a sec the format of public comments. Not really a discussion because it's not an agenda item. It's not specific. You already know this. You've been other places. Yep. Okay. Then we give about 3 minutes per person. It's the same message, and we don't really.
Yeah, right, yeah, we're all, right.
If you have 1 or 2 people, Scott and John signed up if you want to start, and then if anybody else wants to participate, do that.
Yeah,
let's tackle.
Up here, down there.
Oh, there's fine. You could even sit if you want.
Scott Dreger, I live in Belleville. I am the vice president of Sugar River ATV Club. Some might know that we had Brooklyn Township open up routes, and we can't get a safe route into Brooklyn. We would have to cross into Oregon Township. So at the intersection of Tipperary and Alpine, there's a no ATV sign. We can go down Alpine quite a ways, but we can't get to the orchard. So that is one of the extensions we would like to ask for. And then we would like to get from Tipperary over to Bellbrook, Bellbrook down to Union, and Union to 92 into Brooklyn. That's all we're really looking to do.
Is this a one-time thing or is this a permanent thing you're asking for?
So it would be something that we would pay all the signage, and it would be signed that they could do this year round. Brooklyn Township is open, or Village is open, and Union Township, so we'd be able to bring them in this side of town and get them through town and out the other side if they wanted to, make a big loop. That's kind of what we do, road riding.
So please read off the route that you just.
Tipperary to Bellbrook.
Yeah.
Bellbrook to Union Road.
Okay.
And then Union to 92. And then we'd like to extend, if we could, a 1/4 mile on on Alpine Road. Just to get to the orchard, because we do a lot of events out there. Fundraising and everything like that.
Have you had any issues on the Belleville roads with?
We had a couple high school kids, take them to school and on lunch hour ripping around a little bit. School said no more. So kids quit bringing them to school. We haven't had a problem really. And there's been quite a few that come through there.
The one thing that you might not know about the town is that we're in the middle of a survey of residents.
Okay.
So there is one question on there about ATV use within the town. And we won't have the survey is still open to residents, so we won't have the results for
So if you
probably
did
past
want,
May.
if you did want to pursue opening the whole township down the road, we would they're from a Peck Valley Club. I'm Sugar River ATV Club, and between the 2 clubs, we would pay for all signage. If you guys were
help out with all that stuff.
Okay, and that's something
down the road.
If
Yes.
here's the way that what'll come out of this meeting is the board will discuss if we want to bring it up as an agenda item in the future. If we want to wait until after the survey results are in, which I think is probably a reasonable expectation. And then there may be more. We've been through this a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember exactly when it was. And there was definitely a group of people, maybe 20 people or so, who were very, very pro ATV access. There's a bigger group of people that were not. So I don't, I think it's all the same people in town, more or less. so I don't know how that'll play out,
Mhm.
but really for today, it's, we wanna hear what you say. We can't really go into a ton of detail other than like some questions getting, details that we really need to focus in on. But that's about it for today.
That's,
we just
That's
wanna bring it to your
usually-
attention on that road, if nothing else.
To
Just
get
to
around
get,
into
I
Brooklyn.
know Jason Marshall was gonna try to make it, but he got busy. He's one of them that was really trying to get this through to get people into Brooklyn.
Okay.
So, cause with 104 and 92, it intersects us, so we can't get into town legally.
We would have to go all the way down to Broadhead and back up the other side.
Yeah. So.
It's quite a.
But if you like,
Yeah.
if you like to ride, man.
That's a long loop from Monticello.
if you have a destination, it's kind of high.
So,
So anything else?
I think that's it for now, and yeah.
Actually, that's,
Good maps that you guys describe, like what roads you can ride on, or they're good maps that you guys have out there that
Well,
show that.
there's several different apps.
different apps you can
That's-
use, like Polaris has
Polaris
Ride
has-
Command, which they're all marked on there.
That is one of the
EV
things.
mapping.
Ride command.
Polaris Ride Command.
I can, okay.
But we are actually talking about tomorrow night in my Sugar River ATV Club meeting about doing sponsorship maps. So we would actually see if you guys want to do
Yeah.
it too, and
Right.
do like all of southern Wisconsin.
Like the snowmobile.
Like
Yeah,
the snowmobile.
Exactly, like
Exactly.
same line.
Like Green
Maps are
County does.
super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have them for like Green.
Green County has,
Green
them.
County has.
Once we're on an agenda, we will bring maps and all the details.
Right.
like Green County's got a good ATV, UTV map
Yeah.
of all Green County. And that's something we'd look into in other areas if we get more open too, Right now, we were working on Green County, but now Dane County's opening a lot. Cross Plains is open, Pine Bluff, Town of Vermont, Town of Blue Mountains. I see Rutland's open over here. There's a lot of them opening up in Dane County now too.
And what about the Green Rock and what about the county roads? What is the situation with the county roads today?
Well, like Green County's open most all of their county roads,
Okay,
with some exceptions that are not,
Right.
because it's not safe spots.
Right.
Is what they do, like Supervisor Russ Torkelson, and they go through 3 steps with the county to get that open, and they go out, like the sheriff's department does a survey if it's safe, or goes out and inspects it. Is this a safe road for them on or not? And then they pass it.
okay.
So,
Are there any Dane County roads that are approved?
there's a few, county roads, yes,
County.
yes, there's quite a few county roads.
Okay.
Oh,
It's
And
just,
so,
state highways are the biggest thing that's hard to get open.
sure.
So but like if we got into Brooklyn on 92, where we would come in on 92 off of.
We would have to
Union.
actually approach the state to lower the speed limit to 35 all the way out there in order for that to happen.
Yes.
Right, where
So
right
any
now, if we
roads-
came in on Union,
It is.
it is 35, so that.
So any roads over 35 miles an hour are not.
No.
Any state highway.
State highway.
State highway.
Yes.
County number or lettered roads,
Yes.
you're 35 miles an hour, we can be on them at 35,
Mhm.
Even if they're 55.
even if they're 55 roads.
Okay,
Yes,
Only
unless they're
state highways that
posted,
you cannot.
no ATV.
okay.
So, and we've got a few in Green County, not a lot of county roads that they didn't open. Which is,
what is, okay, where is the map? I think we need to have the maps. What was the application, the app on here? I just tried to pull it.
Polaris.
Ride Command.
Ride command.
So
I
what-
have.
Ride
He's got it.
command.
I have it.
Polaris,
Ride command.
command.
Ride command.
Yeah,
And that's updated, I mean, we submitted ours in Belleville, and I wanna say it took 30 days and it was on there.
Sometimes it's not
I was
even.
gonna say, sometimes
When we got.
Before we get
Yeah, it all
3
depends
days
when-
later, it was on there.
well,
Yeah,
you know,
sometimes
they're
they-
releasing the
they-
updates,
they
but
before we even get the signs on.
Some
they
of
got
those
it.
fast,
so.
they release up.
And right now, they're with being spring, not a lot of stuff is open the last month or two, so everything's up to date on it.
Except for Brooklyn might not be, because I don't know if paperwork got back yet.
Yeah, I don't know if it has for sure now.
All right, folks, did you want to add anything else?
I don't think so, that's all we want to bring to your
Good,
attention.
yeah, appreciate you coming out.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions? Our numbers are on that sheet too. If you have any questions, we're more than willing to help with anything.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right, thanks,
very
guys.
much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, onto item 3, so we have one set of minutes,
Let me
any,
just check before we move on, let me just check. Stephanie,
What was
okay,
that last quarter mile he had said? After the two, it said Union's 92, and then they were looking for a quarter mile.
on,
Alpine to Orchard.
Up to the orchard.
extent of orchard.
Yeah, that would, I think this is what that's what I was pulling up right here. Alpine.
Okay.
Let's move on from public comments, and like I said before, if we want to put this on an agenda. We should
We can do
figure
that
out
later on.
yes or no. But I don't know how much demand there is.
Yeah, I think we draw that conclusion when the results.
I
I think you wait till the survey comes in.
Yeah, I received
I think
a
that's fair.
call from Corey Spink, who was interested in this
Looking at roads
issue.
too, that
And I'm going to call him back and tell him
things that
that
have
this
50
group
miles
was
an hour.
here.
they were lower.
Because I think
Speed
He'd be
limits.
interested to know that.
Anyway.
And I told him when I talked to him to look for the survey and be
Right.
sure to put his thoughts into that.
If we're going to be considering this, I think we need to have a little bit more accurate maps because
The Road
I
and
think-
Safety Committee will,
the road and safety committee will want to have.
they'll be going over it with a fine tooth comb.
Very fine tooth comb, but it would also be it's been put forward that a lot of roads are opened to the ATV traffic. They're all open and they're not.
That's all I've
They're-
called, so I've
it's
asked from
not-
other people.
Everything
Yeah.
is open. So we need to have,
I
if
ignore
they're going to be
roads
doing
and
this, we
everything
need
that
maps
themselves.
from them and not sweeping.
No, the placement was right.
Yeah, no, I told you, there's a lot more discussion to be had about this, but let's not do it tonight. because it's not-
We can't do it tonight.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I got 200 pages to go through.
You wanna read that? Let's get to this set of minutes from March 11th. Any edits or other corrections before we can happen? Okay, so we're now then without objection, the March 11th town board meeting minutes are approved. Okay, and then item number 4, financial report, loan update and payment vouchers. Jennifer, did you have anything to say about those? Any highlights? Certainly, page 7, well, I don't know about the paper, page 7. but-
Yeah.
We had the tire pickup. The Liberty Tire. That might be a first for some of you.
What is it?
The tire pickup
tire
from the
pickup.
torque.
Yeah,
Explain that.
we collect tires out at the recycling center, so then we pay for them. So that's that was a bill. We don't pay that very often.
They're saying are you saying tires can be dropped off there
Yeah.
for free?
There is,
No, we
No.
get charged.
there is a chart.
Yeah, there's a charge.
And are we consistent with what we're paying for those?
Try to match that up.
I think they've done some adjusting to be more competitive, yeah. I can't say off the top of my head the charge now.
Okay,
They have adjusted the rates in the last couple of years.
it's like $4 or $5 a tire, right? Something like
They
that.
wanted more for truck tires.
Sure.
It's on the schedule that we have, our fee schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, I think,
And I mean, I can certainly ask again if they think it should be.
So that was the $618 that we spent to have those tires picked up.
Where's it?
Which are, I'm saying
Back page
122.
yeah, 122. And yeah,
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
trip, it was just a
Oh,
line up.
sorry.
Yeah,
122.
Oh, I see, you're-
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
down one.
I'm sorry.
down one.
Yeah.
That's good.
that was the only thing I had to say about that.
Okay, any questions from anyone, concerns? Okay, hearing none, then without objection, the financial report will update on payment vouchers are approved. Steve, were you interested in a certain agenda item? I can
No,
move it,
I'm
I can
just-
move it up. I can
appreciate that.
tailor make this agenda for you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, then, item number 6, onto the planting.
But we have, working on, the CUP and the TDR. So that's being worked on. Progress, slow, but it's being made. The rezone that you see there, is down by Brooklyn. It is a legitimate splits, using up the splits on that farm. And they're in compliance with the ordinance. And they're having the land divisions. And you see the one is very odd shaped there, very odd shaped. And they're talking about that being something in the future that they may be combining and shifting the property lines around. They are not looking at selling these right away. They're kind of holding them and banking them, but they want to get them out of the way. And it is recommended for approval.
Jennifer, just a technicality on this, the way that it's written for 6A, doesn't say anything about approval. About discussion or approval.
Or wait, or does it need?
Well, that's a good. Typically, I think we put that on there. But
It looks like it was probably just left off.
right,
Yeah, recommendation, and I think that recommendation and. Yeah, I think it was just an oversight. I think you can still do so. I think it goes without saying, but yes, you're right, it didn't really say so.
sort of indirectly
Yes,
related to that.
yes.
We should probably put on, at the bottom of each agenda, a lot of municipalities use the phrase about any of these items can be voted on,
Yeah, I think you're right.
But,
It's just probably just got missed.
okay, and I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it up.
And Arlen, did you have conversations with, I suppose before we discuss it, we at least need to have it on the, right?
We need to, yeah.
Yeah, I'll move to approve the recommendation for this CUP.
I would second.
It's a
Rezone.
rezone, yeah.
Pardon me,
That's a
rezone.
Or, second?
I second.
Steve seconds, okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, so Arlen, did you talk with the
The applicant,
entity? Yeah, the applicant.
yes, the applicant came to the plan commission
All right.
and that's, and I've stayed with it. We're looking at holding this.
Mm-hmm,
This is like future, some family
mm-hmm.
divided up between the family, that each one have one to sell.
Okay,
So it's part of their estate plan and it's into the future, not looking at it building in the
just
near
putting
future.
Sure.
There is a residence already there
Mm-hmm.
on the whole, on that whole parcel.
Let's see that.
Yeah.
And if you see in the maps, the farm is one that goes across the road, takes a dog leg down and kisses Brooklyn.
Okay,
Is that body of water, is that a man-made lake or just a holding pond? or-
That is a natural, from what we
That's
see, that's a
natural
natural
spring?
wetland.
the kettle, yeah.
And they're viewing that as a little, their own nature preserve in the backyard.
That's a nice big piece of property.
Pardon?
That's a nice big piece of property.
And the parcels are
Yeah, nice size.
they're good sized.
Yeah.
They're more than the 2 acres, but like they're 3 of them are over 4. And that upper dog leg that goes up to the pond is almost 8. And then the lower one, which where the existing residence is
That's residential.
I don't really, I'm not, it's not jumping up, it's sort of beside the point. It's, they're counting, it's an existing lot.
Is there any other part of the if we approve tonight, is there any other part of the process that either comes back to the plan commission, or the
I believe it's going-
town to do?
yeah,
public
this is, they're going to the county,
county? That's,
so it's a county after this, and then they're going to, as their state, they're going to sit on it.
Here he is. This is the applicant. We're just talking about your parcel.
Did we start?
Yeah, we're just actually, no, go ahead.
you missed all the good
Yeah.
stuff. Debatable. It's a time.
Just, I mean, did you have any, is there, this would complete their,
There's no, this is the last of the splits for this parcel of land.
okay, so that would be the, there would be a deed restriction then, there'd be no further
Correct.
splits, okay.
Correct.
Any other questions, or do you have a question for Mr. Johnson?
Anything you want to add to the?
To the things you don't know that we
Those
said.
things are in our conversation.
Totally different group.
This is the town board.
Okay.
The recommendation had come forward to approve. We have a motion and a second to approve the rezoning. Be sending it on to Dane County. That's where we're at, and you walked in.
Yeah.
Did you want to add something to that?
I just brought a map of what, I know the previous meeting, they were worried about that lot 4, the shape. So I just brought a map of what it is gonna look like once I move some lot lines, if you wanna see it or.
But that would be, that's in the future?
Mhm.
But this is what's on the.
Yeah. Table now.
Okay. All right. What you're projecting is nice, but it's not what's being proposed. We can only deal with what's proposed now.
That was the kind of topic of the conversation last time was that lot.
Sure.
It's a little odd.
Is that a plan commission discussion or
Planning commission.
about the irregular?
Yeah, it's an odd
Okay.
shaped lot.
That was
It
raised,
has-
that was observed at the
Okay.
meeting. Mhm.
So it was talked about, you see the unique characteristics of the land.
Mhm,
I think it's up to the applicant or the seller to be modifying things if the market so demands.
Any
Until
other,
now, this still is acceptable.
right? Any other discussion?
Putting it forward to the county.
Okay.
They may have some comments.
Have you gone to the county yet?
No.
Do you not, I was trying to figure out what date you go to the county, do you know?
It was something A something.
When you go to the county,
So it was May 27th.
May 27th, okay. I didn't think we had, sometimes we wait until we get their counties, but I don't think we've gotten there. Yeah, okay.
Anything good?
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Anyone?
That's good.
All right, then, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no, and the motion passes.
That was easy.
Did this meeting start at 6?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the last one was.
Started at
6:30?
6:30, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought it was 6:30.
It's confusing.
I'm glad you
We had a
showed up.
little
when
bit
you did.
longer agenda. Our packets are actually split in two. It's the 200 pages. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Carlin, anything else plan commission related? Looks like we talked about the article.
Just that the B and C is under progress, is in progress.
Okay.
I just was gonna point out that in B and C that Stephanie has reached out and that Bridget will be at the plan commission meeting in April to discuss B and C.
All right, then moving on to item 7, Road and Traffic Safety Committee report.
You got A, which is the driveway on Billbrook Road. It's a little bit different in that the culvert will not be in the ditch. due to unique topography, it is on the applicant's property. The current driveway that's there is no culvert under it. And it has not been draining onto, because it has not been draining onto Bellbrook and causing erosion and things, it's been said, okay, this is one that could be a candidate for being in the property itself. We had to have them, their engineer, who did extensive erosion or where the water is coming from and where it's running downhill to. We got a right size culvert, and anyway, things got resolved.
Okay.
And it's an acceptable driveway, but in the future, this may be a possibility. The policy from Public Works is that no driveway drains onto the road.
Mhm.
So we don't have erosion. There's a number of driveways that do, and they always seem to cause problems. See, we have our one gravel road on Marvin Lane.
So before you go to that, can I
Yes.
just ask, do we need an approval on anything here?
I think it's been accepted by Public Works, signed off.
We've got the application, we've got the $300. It looks like Abel signed off on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I thought that I thought that our ordinance read that if a variance is required, I thought the town board had to approve a variance. And so I didn't know, is this a variance? Is this,
I would say it is a variance.
Okay.
I would say if this is a variance, then
okay,
Well, it would be prudent to approve it.
okay, we need a mo-
So I'll make a motion to approve the application for 5664 Bellbrook Road to be modifying the location of the culvert.
in the larger diameter.
Yes.
Here a second.
Are they, is the property owner responsible then for for taking care of the culvert
Yeah.
on his property?
Yes.
Is there any?
Can we do a second?
There's a maintenance agreement in.
Let's do a second to the discussion, please.
A second.
10 seconds, okay, and then on to discussion.
So it does say that it's approved for installation with a maintenance agreement.
Yep, that's what I was
That's
after.
the- yeah, it's a good point.
I apologize, I left my reading glass at home, which I need more and more, a little bit distance.
I think that agreement is on page 29, isn't it?
That's right.
Yes.
I thought we had one. Yeah, there it is.
I'm sure I missed something.
Thank you.
They presented
There it is.
that, the revised plan with the different size culvert, and then they put together this maintenance agreement for us. And it's, but page 29 and 30.
Any other discussion on it? All right, then, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes.
Um,
Okay, then we're on to Marvin Lane.
Marvin Lane, we have, is our one gravel road. It's narrow, it's gravel. And Public Works has, feels that it needs about $7,500 worth of gravel. It is about 1,000 tons of gravel over the length. And the asking for financing of this, of the $7,500. And then it will be graded and shaped by town staff. And the 7,500 is not to exceed.
That was not to exceed.
And Abel was showing you that it was not $750 a ton, which he first thought. It was $650 a ton, so.
But the committee approved it at $750 a ton. So that's what's in the minutes.
Mhm.
So I think the
But it's-
minute, yeah,
It should be around more closer to
So
yeah.
this is
65.
giving us factor safety.
There's still time to put this in the financing package?
Yep. Mhm.
Is it is it not critical, but is it important to do this year and not next year?
That was put forward to Abel, and he was feeling, yes, it was, that it's pretty thin
Yeah.
right now. So I would move that we provide add gravel in the 2025 budget for Marvin Lane for 1,000 tons of gravel. To be
Not to exceed.
Pardon?
Yeah, we had the, we don't have the resolution that the committee approved, but they had the language not to exceed.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed $7,500.
Okay, so more on dollar on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Volume, okay.
Yeah.
So that would be the motion. Thank you.
And there's something, is there a second?
Second, oh,
Or is like Laurie, okay. Any more discussion on this one? My only question would be, was the 7,500, where's the 7,500 coming from? But besides financing, is it in the budget somewhere? Because we didn't expect this.
No,
Does it come from?
the loan.
Yeah, I mean, you could put it in, we haven't borrowed money yet,
Right.
so you would have to, yeah.
But does that, if we're already over the 800,000, right?
The budget,
Well, not necessarily, I mean, we have to look at that, we haven't really taken anything out or added anything in, I mean, I think we talked about what, we haven't gotten there yet. I mean, we know the road work,
Right, right.
that's one piece we don't,
Okay.
the other things we haven't.
It's not a huge amount, not zero, it's not zero.
They
but
all
it's-
add up.
But it's just,
yeah.
I know,
Mhm.
right. And I put a fair amount of weight in what Public Works says about the condition, we can't have roads washing out and things like that, so I think we have to do it. But we need to fit it in somewhere. So, okay, any other discussion? No, no. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Say no. Motion passes, thank you.
We have the Raven Oaks subdivision, we got Payne and Nolan we have the accepted. And we have the low bid from Payne and Nolan. They have come forward and said they have a large state project and they'd like to get to Raven Oaks early. So what is it? I don't have the letter in.
On page
What is that?
34,
It's on 34, it says beginning the week of April 27th.
There we go.
Even though the contract says May 1st.
And I think that whoever, I don't remember whose response or whatever, but I think it's fine as long as we notify the residents that it's.
Mhm.
I don't know that we've given them any kind of date at this point.
responded, and she had some good points and, in there. There are some, I do with temperature and some things like that.
Right, right. So,
The condition of the base, are we still dealing with frost in the ground?
Right.
By then, we should be buildable, and this would also get rid of the problems of the summer social events. If we can get this done now.
I think we get out of the 30s and 40s by Saturday. I think Saturday on it was like 50s,
50s and
60s.
60s.
I don't know, I can't remember what the overnight lows were, but daytime highs were.
At least for the weekend.
So if there's,
So is.
does this take a motion?
More of a scheduling thing,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
yeah,
it's-
no, yeah.
I don't think it does.
It's more informational.
But is Payne and Dolan gonna send out any kind of communication, postcards, whatever, to residents, or is that on us to do?
That would be on us, but they've never sent, sometimes I think they might have like put things maybe in on their doorsteps or on the doors, but I don't know if they've ever mailed anything, that's usually on us.
do you have anything on file already that you can just pull out? and
We have,
recreate?
yeah, we have mailing labels that we could send out. Yeah, I mean, like, it would just be like. It's a lot of letters to send out. It's a big subdivision, so we'd have to get on it. If that's the date that we're gonna choose, so.
I think that's a good date, as long as we can handle the communication part of it. There's if the weather permits, obviously a big one, but
And so I think we need some help.
And they're not really saying how long it's gonna take them.
no, is that also just totally weather dependent? Because it'd be good to know, it'd be good to know if we could say in the communication piece, like, starting this week, weather permitting, going forward. Up to whatever.
That would be good.
We think we can,
I think Suzie and Jeff can
a real
nail
brief-
that down.
okay.
I think you could,
Yeah.
Suzie can give you.
She wanted the traffic plan,
Oh, that's
things
right.
like that, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
there's some
Okay.
things, yeah.
So there are a couple of things that.
Yeah.
The letter was.
Okay, so
I mean, if everyone's okay with it, I think then we could just let them know to move forward and
Yep.
they could.
Let's do it.
So that. A little early.
this information, now we have approved the contract.
Yep, that's signed. There's a signed contract here.
Well, it hasn't been signed. I have it for you to
Oh,
sign,
okay.
Arlen, but Susie looked over and she thought everything looked good. So unless anyone else saw anything
And
that,
Arlen was asking about who signs that.
well, he signed the Alpine one, so I
Oh.
left it, he signed the Alpine one the last time.
Okay.
So I had it there for him to sign that one.
Yeah,
But by all means, feel free.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't.
we'll just do it and get it out of here.
Perfect.
And today's the 8th.
It is.
I just had one thing that was at the tail end of this that I just wanted to mention. On page 42, we discussed last month about the seal coating. I'm sorry, about
Crack
the
filling.
crack filling,
Yeah.
yes. So, I looked up public contracts. We have to notice between 5,000 and anything under 25. We don't have to go to bid, but we still have to notice it. So we have to, so I put out a notice, we're gonna just have to approve that contract for the crack filling. We've never done it before, so we have to do that, so we should.
What page is that on?
Page 42, and then 43 is the FAQ.
So Jennifer, 42 is just the language that you use for the notice.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I put the notice out there and then next month or when we get it, we could do it at whatever we want to do, but we have to just have it out for 7 days and then we just have to, we don't have to go to bid, but we just have to have it noticed.
No, I freaked out a little bit when I saw the 24,900.
I just wanted to-
Until I read the entire sentence. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah, just as long as I thought, just as long as we're under that, it's just keeping that language in there that we're keeping it under that statutory amount.
Because we were
that we don't
saying
have to-
15,000-ish, something like that. Is that
Yeah.
what's our estimate?
Yeah, that's what it was. So I just thought, well, we'll keep kind of that language in there to know that it's under the amount that we're gonna go to bid for, whatever we decide to do. I was kind of like, that's what I was keeping it under. But I just wanted to make sure we did that, because we talked a little bit about that last month, and we've never done it, but we should, so.
Okay,
Sure.
question?
Yeah.
If you put the notice out,
Mhm.
so this has been given to the good citizens.
Yep.
And it also says there's competitors that may see it.
Yep.
And if a competitor comes in and says, hey, I can do that. Do we listen to the competitor?
No, you don't have to go to, you don't have to bid.
Yeah, so this just notice.
It's
Yeah.
just notice.
Yeah. Just required to give notice. So that's
Okay, but it
what,
doesn't say who we're giving the contract to.
yeah, it says
Okay.
we're giving it to crack filling
Crack
service.
filling service,
Yeah,
okay.
it's because it's such a unique name.
Yes.
That's the
I
confusing
kind
part.
of blew right over it, yes, thank you.
That's why,
Who we've used for a long time.
yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
it just formalizes that we're doing it and that we're doing it the right way. Just make sure we're doing it, and we'll get the contract from them and we'll make sure we get that approved. do that the right way going forward.
Good. Okay, moving on to number 8, public works. Got a couple things here. I can't say that okay. It looks like the main issue with the snowplow is delivery timing and a big gap in between delivery of the chassis versus having Monroe put the accessories and things on. I don't have it in front of me which page it is, but I didn't love was it the Lakeside guy or was it the Monroe guy? About, you can pay us now everything, or you can pay later and the interest
Yes.
that we would have lost or we would have had, whatever it was, but those are not great options.
It's, yeah, okay.
Is there something we can do about that? I mean, yeah, you're gonna get a truck. We're not sure when, but you're due by this. No, I don't like that at all.
And someone raised I don't, like 18 different pages. I think someone raised the question about to the Lakeside people, like, oh, can we just get delivery of the chassis later?
Yeah.
Maybe Jennifer, was that your thread? Anything else, right? And I think part of the problem is that everything went into motion based on a handshake almost. Does that seem like that? So I think we've got an internal issue with how purchases like this are handled. I don't exactly know what the solution is to that, but I think that part of it's on us for not controlling that a little bit more.
I think that Lakeside has a responsibility to coordinate the efforts with Monroe, and Monroe has a responsibility so that this doesn't happen. What we're up against here is paying for this truck chassis, but not only paying for it, carrying it, storing it, insuring it with absolutely no use of it for literally 16 months.
And on the back end, you lose a model year in resale.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're right. I think so, go ahead.
I know that others have heard me say, and I was not part of the original decision to order this truck. And so I want to make sure that it's clear. I was not part of that. And there is a little bit of Monday morning quarterbacking going on from my perspective, but I at least want to provide my perspective. Our current truck is a very good truck. It's a Peterbilt, which in my opinion, an International is a Chevrolet and a Peterbilt is a Cadillac. That truck was outfitted with the best of everything, with a stainless steel box, with all of the options that we wanted at the time. A Peterbilt is something that is made to last 1,000,000 miles if it's been maintained. This truck is 10 years old. I'm frustrated that we made the decision to replace this truck after it was 10 years old. It literally has 35,000 miles on it. I talked with Abel earlier today just to get some clarification on a number of things. I asked him if we had had any expensive repairs, and there are none. We did have to put some money into the DEF system. That's a diesel emission system, which is that system, which is a pollution control system, needs a lot of babying on every diesel vehicle. So we didn't have to replace it, we just had to maintain it. So it's part of the cost of using a diesel vehicle these days. I asked him if we had, with 35,000 miles, if we had even replaced the tires. And likely those were the original tires that were replaced. And so we've got a vehicle that is really set up to last a long time. That truck replaced a 1999 vehicle, so a 15-year-old vehicle, and somehow we put it on a 10-year schedule, but we spent it for a vehicle that should last 25 years for a municipality. If we continue to hold on to that vehicle, which frankly, I'm in favor of, we could hold that vehicle for another 5 years and it would still have only 50,000 miles on it. And it would still have a stainless steel box, which is completely rust free. We may have to put some maintenance into it, but we're gonna put maintenance into any vehicle that we have. But if that vehicle literally evaporated to half its value over the next 5 years, we'd be spending $5,000 a year in depreciation. This new vehicle, we will spend $50,000 in depreciation over the next 5 years, very easily. And if we keep the vehicle we have, we'll spend $25,000. So, you know, what Lakeside has for us today is a chassis. That is the most generic form of a truck. It is at the core of what municipal trucks are made of. And as a result of that, it is super marketable. They could sell that like that. Now, the Village of Oregon just backed out of 2 trucks. And I'm not saying we should back out of it. Well, I am saying we should back out of it. We don't have to. We can follow through. But I think it's important that if we consider following through the way we have it, that I think Abel should make the decision as to whether or not he wants to drive a vehicle that is in extremely good condition, which frankly is more vehicle than this is brand new, for a few more years, at very little cost to the township. Or if we should go ahead and purchase, store, insure, pay interest on, have no use of a vehicle for the next 16 months and end up with a vehicle that is half the truck an International is, in my opinion.
Then the Peterbilt is.
Yes. That's my opinion. However, whatever we decide to do, I am absolutely opposed to replacing a truck like this in 10 years in this township because it is hardly used. That's and I'll do whatever you want to do. We've already made a decision to buy it years ago. If you feel that we're in a position where we have to buy it, it's gonna bug the snot out of me, but I wasn't in the
Can you
position.
review what's involved in backing out of the deal?
I don't think there's any contract.
That's what I was just gonna ask, because
There are no penalties. There's a penalty to buy it,
Because we have to. store the
16 months
chassis.
for sure. We'll spend $10,000 in
Is
interest.
there anything?
So
Any
we
summer
were just saying, okay, so we're saying, so page 47 was the first document you sent me.
Mhm.
Which is,
It's just a, that's just a summary.
right, okay, so then I asked him again, just last night, I said, can you send me the contract?
Yep.
And that was on page 57. Well, page 47 and page 57 looked the same, except all of a sudden, a signature appeared.
Where?
Look at 47 and look at 57.
Yeah,
A signature appeared under approved by seller. Which it doesn't really matter because it's not a contract.
It's not our signature.
No, it's not our signature, but it's not a contract. It's a proposal.
Oh,
It's a what?
The
It's a
proposal. It says, it's a quote.
And because what it doesn't say is, it doesn't say when we're gonna get it. It doesn't say, it does say it'll cost this unless we get it to you after December of 2024, which clearly it is already. And then it says, we have no idea what the price will
So
be.
we have no idea what we're paying.
On top of that, there are no penalties for deciding not to take it.
so this is a proposal. This is not, we did not
not a
sign for a
contract.
contract.
Right.
It's not an agreement to
Okay.
purchase.
Yeah,
Yeah. Different things.
there's 2 different things. At a bare minimum, have we put anything down on this truck?
No,
At a bare minimum, in order to have a valid contract, there has to be consideration. You have to exchange this for that. That's why all contracts say, and you need to put $3,000 down. You need to put $100 down.
Yeah, $1.
$1 down, it codifies a contract. There is nothing here that says this is a contract. Now, we may feel,
This proposal is not binding without the seller.
That's just
Upon
the
the,
seller.
this is not binding upon the seller's authorized signature. Okay, it's not binding. That's right there.
Well,
so,
that's on the seller.
you know,
So that doesn't affect
Not
us
Binding upon the seller.
accepting.
we may feel, and so now what they're telling us is, first of all, they've told us it's already gonna cost more. And now they're saying, if you don't pay us right now, we're gonna charge you the interest on it. So it is a moving target.
Yeah.
The date of delivery is a moving target, the price is a moving target. There is no talk about if we decide not to take it. Because it is the most generic form of a truck.
Yeah. We may never get the rest of it.
Okay,
I mean, things could happen.
They,
You may never get the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm liking your idea of canceling the order.
mhm,
And I want to revisit a little bit what we were trying to do of having a regular
cadence.
purchase schedule so that we can plan and also to have some value in vehicles so that they can be sold
Sure,
and not just all to scrap.
right.
So we're not gonna be running things down to scrap, we're gonna be having something left. And right now you talk, but so we came up with, I think, the magic 10-year schedule.
Yeah, that on this particular vehicle, apparently we came up with a 10-year schedule the last time it was replaced.
Okay, so we can certainly review that process again. Maybe it's more of a piece of equipment by piece of equipment. How much it's.
How much it gets used, how much it, what's it costing us? I think, it's hard to live by a 10-year schedule when we realize we got 35,000 miles on this truck. That's my opinion. Now, they had never even entertained the possibility of trading this one in. But Abel did talk to International today, and they very quickly came up with a $55,000 figure for our current truck. So,
Well, I think well, I don't know for sure on this particular situation, but I think the reason he probably didn't put the trade into the mix was that we had been using the auction for leftover,
Sure.
leftover vehicles.
sure, and lots of municipalities do. And frankly, if this truck was 15 or 20 years old, they probably wouldn't want it. But to have this truck on their lot would be a big boon for them. Because they'd have something to sell that was a quarter of the price of what they're selling vehicles for.
Do you know if,
So-
you were talking about a village had canceled a couple
Mhm.
vehicles? Had those vehicles already been delivered to and this ignores. the
I don't know
signed
any of the
contract or
other
whatever,
details.
Whether they were delivered.
Yeah,
The guys told me, I'm sorry, Tim.
Yeah, go ahead.
The guys told me, and I don't know if this is the same, but they told me that they did not want to wait. So they went with another
Village.
vendor.
right,
Yeah.
even though they
Yes.
had 2 vehicles on order, they canceled the orders
Mhm.
and went, is that your
Yes,
understanding?
that's my understanding. They went with a different vendor.
It's parallel to this situation.
Yeah,
Well, I mean.
they
the-
did not want to wait or did not go with Lakeside. They went with a different,
Manufacturer.
yes,
So
that's different.
So that brings up a question too, if we. It's within our rights to do it, it looks like if that's the only documentation. Have we used Lakeside a lot in the past? Because likely we wouldn't have one be interested in the future. And I don't know what the market is like and where you can go to buy trucks.
Sure.
I mean, you can go nationwide, I'm sure.
I feel like we've used dealerships sometimes in the past. Yeah, I feel like we haven't used Lakeside all that often. Yeah, I feel like we've used dealerships when there was a municipal contract. And there used to be I feel like there was a municipal contract and we would buy under like a government rate.
That's right.
And so I don't know where that went or if that went away, if that's why we're doing it and they couldn't get it and that's why we're going to Lakeside. This seems new to me. So that's confusing. But yeah, that's why I turned to Steve. You know, I just wanted to show, this is our listing of equipment with our insurance. And so like that Peterbilt, we have it insured for $158,000.
Okay. And they're telling us it's worth 15. Or 55 rather.
55.
Yeah, as a trade-in.
Okay.
We do have an international dump truck. A 2022 international dump truck, which is valued at 191,000.
That's
Or
right.
that's what the insured amount is.
Yeah, and then we have our Mac.
So we have a 2022 dump truck and we have a 2018 dump truck and we have a 2015 dump truck. And right now we're talking about replacing the 2015 dump truck. We have a really new fleet. We have a really new fleet and I think that we have, you know, for 2 people who drive trucks, we have 3 trucks. And I think that we could afford to hold that Peterbilt a few more years
Right.
at very little cost.
Because I'm not really pushing back, but I'm just saying we have 2 full-time staff members who drive and sometimes volunteers who.
And we really have 4 trucks because the 550 is also a plow truck.
Right.
We have 4 trucks.
So, my general feeling is that if there's no signed document other than this really rough summary, and either Lakeside, well, it's more Lakeside's issue, I guess. They won't really work with us on the fact that there's a year plus gap in between their delivery that they've received already and then the Monroe work. I'm not gonna lose a lot of sleep over canceling. But I also don't know if that puts us in any kind of weird legal position. And I also know that it's been extremely rough to reach Bill Morgan.
I don't think it puts us in any legal peril at all because this is not a legal contract.
Right.
And I don't even think it's worth reviewing. I think at a bare minimum, if International wants us to buy that truck, then either they carry it until it's ready to be outfitted at no additional cost to us, and then we'll buy it, or we cancel it. And we buy a truck when we need a truck. That's my feeling. The other thing is I thought a lot about, you know, leaving it up to Abel. If we feel morally obligated, if it were me, if I were in Abel's shoes, I would hang on to the truck that I know how to use, that I know is a damn good truck, that is barely used, knowing that I got a new one coming down the pipe in the next few years. Otherwise, that International, he'll be driving that International until he retires, because I am not signing up for a 10-year replacement based on the size of this township and how much it gets used.
I would have to agree that we're not here, going back to your comment, we're not here for a moral agreement. We're here for 2 things. If it's a good truck, but we're here to also looking at what's coming down the line with purchases for the town, Port Village. I think that's a wise decision to cut ties with it right now.
Okay. I do what, I would certainly be wanting to keep on a rational replacement schedule.
Yep.
So I'd like to look at having that revisited. I'm seeing that we have the Peterbilt, the Mack, and International, and we've got 2 Ford pickups. And one of the pickups also snowplow?
Yes, that top one, the one we bought last year, that 2023
Okay, so that's our
F550.
fourth, that's our fourth snowplow.
That's, and we use that to plow cul-de-sacs mostly in the neighborhoods as not plowing our township roads.
If, can we, and I believe we were having recent order issues, like this is in December of 2023, so a year and a half ago,
Mhm.
we were looking at purchasing something that might be delivered. I'm
Around
not
now.
quite sure when this was, maybe delivered sometime.
Mhm.
That's about it.
Yes.
And we don't know what that sometime is. How recent is this goofy schedule? Isn't this a fairly recent phenomenon to be having something that's 3, in this case, 4 years down the pike? From, tentative order. Is that a recent phenomenon? Or are we going to be having that?
I mean, we got that last international, which is a 2022 smack dab in the middle of COVID. So if we're looking for an event that could push a timeline out, that would be an event. That's a 2022.
Yeah,
And we did have discussions back then about knowing that there was a delivery delay. And if, I don't remember the original discussions behind this one. But there seems to be the idea, at least on our side, that we would pay for both things after everything was done. Which makes me wonder if, and I don't remember the part of the story, but if Lakeside is saying, hey, we've got the chassis, it's in Janesville. What's the Monroe part of it? What was their delay on all the?
I know, I think
You know
you
what I
put a
mean?
call into Monroe or
I did, so.
to see
in here.
why there's such a delay, because Monroe said we only need 60 days. Once you deliver the chassis, we only need 60 days to put it all together.
Yeah, so I mean, we're focusing on Lakeside, but I wonder if it's if Monroe said, yeah, we can get in next week. Like,
Sharon addressed it at the beginning. Monroe and Lakeside need to work together.
Yes.
right,
And
It always
But here
works
we
out.
are.
I mean,
Yeah, and Lakeside, if Abel's talking to Lakeside and ordering a truck, absolutely true.
Yeah.
Lakeside should say, well, we just talked to Monroe, they can't do anything for a year. But I don't know. In the absence of that kind of assistance from Lakeside. Were we blindsided by the Monroe schedule?
I don't know. I don't have anything to go on from Monroe.
Because I mean, not that there's necessarily a villain.
Yeah.
In this, but the delay is on the Monroe side, right?
I don't know. I would assume if they're putting December 31st, 2024 for an initial deadline to get this chassis in, that Monroe would be on board, be planning for our truck around the end of December 2024.
I don't think the next step is to have Able contact Monroe.
And I'm wondering if the
that's
chassis.
what we did. That's what I did. That was my email. So in here,
Who's the Monroe? Oh,
the Rick guy is the Monroe.
Oh, the Rick.
Yeah,
Where's that?
so the emails with the red in the packet,
Okay, that's,
that's the Monroe guy. So that, the guy who said, I only need 60 days,
yep.
that's the then. I'm like, hey, you know,
Why do our 60 days start in 16 months?
so, cause, yeah, I was like,
I think.
I'm like, the chassis should be delivered in April. When do you think the equipment would be available to be installed? Projected delivery is October of 2026. It's like, October of 20, and I'm like,
I wonder if we
I'm like,
missed.
it makes sense for us to hold up purchases for you to get caught up. And he was like, yeah, I would schedule the truck accordingly. They should be able to tell you when to see. So that was like, so I was like, okay, well, because that, like, it obviously would make no sense if they can't get to us till October 2026. Why would we buy like truck?
I don't know what the original.
Yes, and I was walking into
Yeah,
the
right.
literally where I was like, October 2026.
I'm going
Like,
back to thinking that we should turn Able loose on Monroe
Yeah.
and say, look, what's going on?
That has already, like, that's been,
Has that happened already?
I feel like,
It-
Yes.
it Wasn't affected.
Well, I think we've got two issues here. One is a recommendation to cancel this because the vehicle that we have, the Peterbilt,
it's
is
true.
a premium that with low mileage and has an easy 5 years ahead of it, easy 5 years.
Yes,
And maybe more.
yes.
And that we should be redirecting our schedule around the quality of the equipment that's there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's much point in calling Monroe and saying, hey, what the heck you doing?
Because
Why bother?
even as it stands right now, International Lakeside signed a proposal with us in December of 23, which was 15 months ago, 16 months ago. So they have shown us they can deliver a chassis in 16 months. If we placed a new order today, it sounds like it would be here just in time for Monroe to put it together. So we pass on this one. And then decide, do we want to put another one on order? To be ready for Monroe's schedule 16 months from now. And so that goes back to, do we feel like we're in a position that we want to place another order?
Exactly. Okay, you lost me in one part. If we're talking about the Peterbilt being, having years and years,
Yes,
would we even bother with ordering another one?
my opinion, no.
Okay.
My opinion,
That's gonna
no.
kick me out because.
Right, my opinion, no. But if we feel compelled to
Right.
place an order for a truck, we know International can deliver in 16 months, which is just in time for Monroe to put us in their schedule.
Okay, I'm looking at the schedule up there. If we start looking at, if the Peterbilt, your feeling has a good 5 years ahead of it. Okay, what about the Mac? Because that's only 3 years different there. Is that just as good quality? Do we have the stainless steel box on that one too?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, because that may be the, just saying, if the Peterbilt's good for 5 years, is the Mac good for 5 years? Or is the Mac good for 3 years?
I don't know. I have one quick question. Over in the far right column, what does that able $130,000 mean? On the
I'm
Peterbilt.
wondering if so this might be what he thinks the value of it is. That might have been like a note that he made for me, like I had it at 158 and he might have said that, that's what I'm thinking that might like.
And internet and Lakeside said they'd give us 50. So,
he might have said, oh, maybe the value of it, that might have been what he thought too. Like he might have thought like, oh, the value's gone down. So
that's.
because this list is really our insurance list. That's
Sure.
why I pulled it up. It's kind of it's kind of a, I don't want to mean a nothing list, but that's what this comes from.
Oh, so to go back to the idea of directing this toward Abel and having him make a decision. I don't know that I'm 100% comfortable with that, but I think if.
And I say that only if we feel morally obligated to pursue a new truck.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
I don't think we're morally obligated to buy a new truck.
Yeah, and I know we're not legally obligated.
And I'd say if there's anything, I would be, if I was looking to something from Able, it would be saying, what's the status, what's the long-term status of each one of those pieces of equipment? That does he agree with the Peterbilt thing that you've got a minimum of 5-year good life on it yet, and maybe more? Same question of the Mac. Same question. Well, the 2022 is a little bit hard to even that.
So what you're saying is really could be and should be independent of this purchase decision.
Yes.
Okay, so let's zero in on.
That's the recommendation from Public Works. Right now, I'd say, let's cancel this thing.
Okay.
We could literally end up replacing the Mac before we
That was
replace
my
that
next
Peterbilt.
question.
We could. I don't know any details about the Mac, but that's the next thing to be replaced. That Peterbilt is such a good truck. We may be considering replacing the Mac before we replace that Peterbilt.
That would be the input that I'd like to have from Public Works.
Yeah.
Well, but outside, an independent
Outside.
discussion, okay,
Yes.
so let's get to a motion on this, if everybody is okay, and we can have discussion.
Can we just look at one thing just before, so we can
Yeah.
cover all the bases? So just if you can look at page 51
Yeah.
through 54, this is the only other thing that Abel signed.
Mhm.
This would be with Monroe. In my opinion, this also looks like just a sort of proposal. This would be for that equipment that he would have attached to the truck.
Mhm.
So this is when we had that discussion about brine. Again, this looks like it's just another proposal, an estimate of what the equipment would cost to put on.
It says right on there, it's a quote.
Yes,
That's- it
I
says right
agree, agree, so. But I just want, that would be the only other thing that that he would.
There's no truck coming on the way to Monroe, then this is a non-issue.
I would agree, so I just wanted,
These are the things that they're proposing to put on it.
exactly.
Right.
And
It's not-
and
it's
it's just a
not on there
cost.
now.
That, well, yeah, there's nothing, no prop. Yeah, there's no chassis, so.
Have you talked to, or what is Abel's opinion on the Peterbilt? I mean, we got your opinion. Has Abel weighed in on this?
I have not specifically asked him about whether he's just anticipating a new truck. So I haven't specifically asked him about, is that truck gonna last us longer than now? He just felt that we would get more value out of it today than we would in 5 more years, which I totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We'd get more value out of it if we turned them every 5 years.
Yeah.
But there is a point of diminishing returns here. And so, I didn't ask him specifically, but I was just gathering factual information about maintenance that's required. Do we anticipate any extraordinary maintenance in the near term? What kind of work has been done over the last 2 years? And it was new tires and the DEF system was
Okay,
contained. That's it.
here's just an outlier kind of idea. If, I don't know how tariffs are gonna affect either the chassis and whether the price is adjusted, because we haven't signed for a particular price, whether that affects the price of the chassis or whether it affects any of the parts
The build-up.
that go on to Monroe, go on to the Monroe work.
Mhm.
There's that risk.
There is.
I can't quantify it at all.
Yep. There's absolutely that risk.
Yep.
Now, it appears as though the chassis is locked in. It appears as though, do we have a solid bill from, because all we had was if it's delivered after 12/31 of 24, we don't know what the price is going to be.
I have not gotten a bill.
And you asked recently, right? You said, send me whatever documentation.
Yeah.
And you got the quote or the whatever. I don't think we have anything. Okay, so I think this is not so much a truck decision, it's just a fiscal decision. And fiscally, it looks bad to me. Financially, it looks bad to me. If we can either discuss a little bit more before we move to do this, or we can motion and second, and we're going to move to discussion if there's any more.
I'd like to move that we table it until we've had some additional conversation with Abel. And so we have a better understanding of where we're at with Monroe.
Okay, if you word it as a postponement instead of tabling, then that's good, because we can bring back then without a vote.
Okay. And that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to postpone this decision until we've had a chance to talk with Abel about the perceived lifespan of our Peterbilt. And so that we get some clarity on where we are with Monroe. We
I
know
actually
where
don't
we
think-
are with International. We don't know where we are with Monroe.
Okay, I actually don't think we need a motion and second on that. It's just a postponement to the next meeting, just like we did with the other things.
Sure.
Okay,
So, does everyone in general, informally, do you agree with that? Take
Yes.
postponement, okay, let's do that, let's postpone until, the May meeting, not the town meeting. In a week, but the May meeting, the board meeting.
I have one last clarification. This updated Monroe quote is dated August of 24. I thought there was a quote from Monroe consistent with the date that we got our original estimate from Lakeside.
There could be an updated quote that he got because of the brine situation. We just did that.
Mhm.
He might have an updated quote from Monroe.
Well,
I can look for it.
Okay,
Yeah, I can look for it. There might be a more updated quote.
Related to the,
But this one says February of 25 that he signed it.
yeah, I'm actually looking for the original quote
Oh, you want the
from
original
November of
quote. Okay,
23.
sure. I can
Because
have,
that was what was originally approved.
yeah,
That's all. I'm just- I just don't understand how it can take 3 years to deliver.
Kim, would you be willing to talk to Abel
Sure.
and?
Yeah.
Tell him what we're thinking about?
Yeah.
Okay, appreciate it. All right, anything else on that one before we move on to salt? Okay, sounds like, no, let's talk about salt.
Do the salt mines,
And where is that, page 58?
60.
Seems like the pressing issue is, do we have space for the road to the salt?
right.
And
So we had to store some salt in Town of Dunn last year.
Mhm.
And so very difficult, but I finally
Okay.
let her know because guys didn't let Christina at the salt wide that I guess we got all the salt and we got it in our shed.
So is that the remaining 40 tons from the contract?
Yeah, we got everything in everything from the contract last year
Mhm.
is been delivered and is in our shed.
How
Okay.
full
Okay.
is the shed?
I haven't seen it myself, but I'm assuming it's full. I'm assuming it's plumb full.
And have we taken any of the 80 additional tons we just ordered from Christina?
So we have fulfilled the contract from last year. We didn't take any of our reserve from last year. We've
Mhm.
only just took what we had to take from the last year's, what we ordered from last year.
And so we have a full shed.
Yeah,
And 80 ton on order, not in our shed.
no, we have nothing on order. The only thing we have on order would be next year. So in the packet is what the contract will be for next year. Well, it's confusing because we're in 2025, so we'll have that for the end of this year, right? Because that will be our plowing season.
Yes,
We'll start again with our 250 guaranteed fill. So we'll have another 250 that we'll have to purchase. That will start again this year.
I thought we backed that down.
We backed it down, but
Okay.
it's 250. We backed it down
Okay.
to 250.
Okay. all right.
So we have a full shed
Mhm.
and so we'll have to hopefully,
And
Well-
250 to draw on.
so we have 250 to draw on
Okay.
and then we'll have 250 to refill it.
Okay, got it.
So
We'll have plenty.
yeah.
We'll be choking on salt. That's good. We're backing down. I mean, we haven't had the snow events that we've had in the past.
Yeah, so,
That's, yeah, you have to hope for not too much snow, but
Right.
then,
I forgot
Enough
to bring-
snow to
I
use it
forgot
up.
to bring those articles from scientific.
okay, anything that's just informational,
Mean about
yeah.
correct? Okay,
Dynamite.
anything else on that one, on the salt? And let's talk about, public works equipment. I think the pink,
So this is from Ryan. So, okay, the first
That's on
one
page
is,
what?
Then I'm
we're
60.
start on 63.
63.
Okay, the grapple is for the parks.
Yes.
That is 4,400.
Mhm.
That is, we talked about taking that out of the park funds.
Mhm.
The next one is the 2,300. And that is the
Kramer. Or
stump
the
grinder.
1/3 of the stump grinder,
Yeah.
How much?
Um,
2,300.
Yep. And he has something on there about extra teeth.
Yes, that's just
Yep, $500.
maintenance
Yep.
parts. So that is 12,300 divided by 3.
Yep.
I thought someone was backing out of it.
I thought so too, but he has Rutland, Dunn, and Oregon are going to be going in. Put
Okay.
on his note. And then the page 68 would be that trailer, that undersized trailer. And that has gone out to 18,246. So these were all the numbers that we were trying to get that were, besides the grapple bucket, which we were gonna use from the park funds, those were the numbers we were trying to get to our, yeah.
Are we getting anything for the trailer we have?
That, they did not include that information, but, they could sell that on the auction. So
Mhm.
we talked about that. I know, well, Carl, you talked about that. We do have an equipment fund. So we could either use that to offset the purchase, or we could use what you sell and put that into that equipment fund if we wanted, however you wanted to structure that. In the past, sometimes we've done it where we use it to offset the purchase, or we could use it to build up the fund, whatever we choose to do.
I'm all for cash, but I'm not married to that. Like I said, this is not a big dollar amount.
Yeah, we probably should ask them how much we would get for the
Yeah.
trailer. Okay, that's that.
And then the public works office, 18. Looks like it starts on page 69. So Arlen, you were asking about. You were asking about getting together and talking about this. Do you want to talk about it now, or do you want to talk about it in sort of the building committee level?
I think if there is anything to talk about now, I'd say we have a couple of basic things as to whatever we do, where are we gonna put it? And that I'm starting to see that there are some issues that we need to be grappling with. The railroad, distance of the railroad is one, type of construction is another. And then I'm finding out that the septic tanks that are out the back here, not only that, but apparently the field from that runs all the length parallel to the railroad, all the way down to the other side of the salt shed.
Oh, okay.
Below. And this is not something that you can build on.
No.
And so I would say, and we also, they've taken the initiative to talk to this Bradford company, that we still had some proposals from the mini modules. So I think it'd be good if we, as the building committee, quickly get together. Is what we need to do. And I had asked Jennifer, do we have a survey of the building showing where our rear property lines actually are?
Yeah, and I responded to you and I said, no, there's no survey of the town hall,
And
yeah.
I missed that, so
Yeah.
my apologies.
Yeah, no, there's nothing, there's just a meets and bounds description of the property
Okay.
here.
So I mean, when I found out the septic field
Yeah.
is where it supposedly is, that starts changing things around. And I was asking Abel and Ryan to be getting Digger's hotline, to be identifying where on the site our utilities are, where's the gas line, where's the electric lines? Where are things that they can find? I don't think they can track septic fields.
Right.
But we may be down to and I was looking at where things are. And if you look at where our storage shed is, that space between the storage shed and the salt shed, that kind of rectangle there.
Mhm.
You look at that those buildings are forming an L or V. In the heart of that V, to the west of that storage shed, maybe the only place that we could be putting something. And not something in the back.
Right.
And even getting a cement truck back there to pour a slab, I think would be interesting. So those are sort of issues that was jumping out with this proposal. And I didn't get any, did you get a response back from Bradford?
No.
I have not gotten a response back from Bradford on the cost and how legal is the building. Or go past muster. Because they were showing things like it was wonderful to be building these things inside another building. And I don't know if these things have the insulation required to make them. Because this would be electric heat.
Yeah.
Or just, the whole thing would be electric services and I just a few red flags kind of.
Yes.
Came up in the
Yes.
discussion.
Several.
Maybe they've got it solved. But that's why I sent this little shopping list.
Right.
Well, let's try to get that meeting on the calendar.
I would love to get that.
So we either try we need to have Abel and Ryan there too.
Yes.
So we'll have to sort that out. Not in this meeting. Okay. All right, item 9, we moved that to a different meeting. Item 10, pork.
No, totally.
Somewhere around 104. and
104.
26.
I thought I sent a little. Summary.
You
So-
kind of move to your packet number 2.
Oh, actually, so 104 is really more Pelletier related.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think the memo becomes after that. I kind of put that on. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, the Pelletier thing and then the memo is on
yeah.
page
You
1.
wanna talk about the Pelletier thing first then?
I think,
Oh, the little-
up to you.
The little torque report, everybody was delighted that they're gonna be open every Saturday now from the first of April. First, and they were very busy on Saturday. I just put in a little note that the staff is just trying to kind of keep tabs on how busy they are and I think there's in some ways still figuring it out. And one of the things that came up. March had 5 Saturdays, and we had posted, we were first and third Saturday. But when the discussion came up, Sheldon asked, should we be open, because they were already getting busy. And then I sent Jennifer a text and she pointed out that we always like to have a little flexibility in the summer because we have now we have every thunderstorm practically, it's a big deal. we have so many emergency days when everybody has down trees and everything. So we really are trying to be cognizant of how much it's costing to run the operation. And then to help with the Abel and Ryan, sometimes one of our staff will go down in during the week to burn brush. Because when the torque is open, first of all, it always was awful to be burning. You know, you had to have the wind just right, but there are these days when it switches back and forth.
Yeah.
You know?
Doing that.
So it sort of became, we just stopped burning when customers were there. So somebody comes down during the week, and so that affects, you know, the staffing. We have some extra hours then going out to our staff, but they're helping Ryan and Abel, and they coordinate with them so that they know they're gonna burn. And then when can we burn? Because we've had, you know, seriously high winds for, you know, it seems like we're always in the middle. So anyway, just to say, I think there's a real effort and to sort of monitor, but it's not a really sophisticated system where they just try to count the number of cars that come. So it's not like we have an electronic monitor showing us how many vehicles and everything. So, I mean, there really is that issue though, that you want to make sure that the town is getting value for money, that we're not charging more, but it does cost money to keep that open. And so that's all, yes. And you'll see they had 94 vehicles on April 1st and
Super.
or April 4th. Okay, so that's
great.
all I had to say about that.
Lots, busy, busy.
Busy, yeah.
We talked to.
Don't have to see. Well, I wanted to ask a question. Are we ready for that? I tried to look through the contract. And I could have missed something, but I never saw anything listed in our contract about the possibility of that landfill upcharge being one of the variables on our. Is that kind of what our concern is there? I know Jennifer included the entire contract that we signed, and I just didn't see anywhere, and this is apparently, and I think maybe Jennifer more can speak to this more than just no. You just noticed that there was this increase, and were curious about it and followed up on it.
Well, the letter came, I guess, he sent a copy of the letter, was it September 19th, is what that, on page 106? Is what the letter came,
From Pelletier.
Yeah. yeah. So, it looks like that's when they gave notice.
So they realized that was a new thing.
Yeah, it looks like,
Unexpected.
yeah. Looks like that's. And then with that, they must have included,
They say their contract allows them to do an increase there.
And from what I can tell, it's a straight pass through of the landfill additional cost. And that Pelletier isn't putting additional cost on top of it.
No, they're just.
It's just
That's
this.
they're being charged by Dane
Yep,
County.
Sure.
I think it's covered under 1F on
Okay.
page 112. It doesn't specify, but, well, it specifies tipping fees. And if there was a. In the last paragraph, there was $1 per ton quote, and then it also says that the contractor will be reimbursed on additional expenses. So if I'm reading that right and not misreading some of it, I think it's in there, it just doesn't necessarily name.
I guess
It
I just
generalizes
didn't
more.
realize it was how they charged it was. It was, they figured it out to like an actual amount per cart per home. So it would be it didn't fluctuate like the fuel surcharge. So this
Right.
one doesn't fluctuate. That I didn't realize, so. Which is nice, because I guess that helps you budget, so. in one way, that's nice, so.
So this additional cost for our budget is $4,400
Yeah.
this year?
Yeah. Mhm.
And that's because the tipping fees for things from the torque.
No.
No, for
Just the landfill
Residential.
tipping fees
From-
in general
from
have
curbside.
gone
the,
up.
for all of our-
Everything that they're doing.
Yeah, it's per cart.
I don't think
cart.
it covers torque.
No, I
Right.
don't think it's for-
Okay,
Right.
so they're charging they have a set fee for doing all the pickup at curbside. And now they're asking for a 4,400 surcharge because of tipping fees.
Essentially, yes, but the $4,400 is broken down per cart per month. But yes, it's $4,400 in total for the year. But it's broken down per cart per month. So if it could be more, if like a new house moves in and we add a cart, it could be more. Cause you would have another cart in the mix.
But we would be,
Or if you took a cart away, it might be less, so. That $4,400 is not, it's not a $4,400. That fee could fluctuate up or down depending on the number of carts you
It
have.
doesn't sound like it doesn't fluctuate within the calendar year.
It fluctuates by the number of carts you have. The $4,400 is just based on 1,194
Right.
homes, because that's how many homes that are serviced today. But the number of homes that are serviced could change.
Right.
They typically don't in the town of Oregon, but
Right.
they could.
But I guess all I'm saying is I think if there are new carts added, they would have the same charge as everybody else's cart for that calendar year. That's what it seems to read like.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's like, we would pay more, right? We would pay more,
Right.
yeah, and
But-
we pass, well, that's something we
Yeah.
get to.
So I'm let me ask a dumb question
Sure,
here.
absolutely.
We have a contract with them and it has every year there's a bump that they can charge a little bit more. And we've got that schedule, and we've agreed to it, or most of us agreed to it.
Get over it, Arlen. Get over it.
Get with it. And so I'm now a little confused by why is this, is there somewhere in the contract that allows for this tipping
Yeah,
or large?
Carl pointed it out. I
Yeah.
tried to
Is it,
find it.
that's on F on
One F,
page
Yeah,
112?
one F, I think, yep,
and that is a pass through
right.
at the landfill.
But this is where this bump is.
Yeah, and it's in the last paragraph.
Mhm.
And it says the contractor will be reimbursed for any additional expenses created due to any new or amended laws, statutes, ordinances that add new or increased environmental taxes or fees or require mandatory collection or disposal increases or increased rates by the Dane County landfill.
Mhm.
And this is an increase passed through from the Dane County landfill.
And then if you look at page 108, there's a letter from Bob Bowenbach, the third paragraph. He's sort of trying to soften it a
Right.
little.
Right.
Although no one ever wants to see increased costs, we support the DCLF and know they are taking all the steps necessary to ensure the landfill is run safely and are committed to environmental protection and incorporate sustainability. And then the last thing, this is literally only the second time this has happened in the past 15 years or so. So he's trying to say this isn't going to happen every year. Or hasn't in the past.
Right.
There's no way to predict what the future holds.
No.
We see something like this happening again anytime soon.
It's a cup of coffee for container.
Right. I think somewhere in here, I don't know if it's the letter, I'm not gonna read through it right now, but somewhere in here, their intent was to get us some kind of notification of this before budget time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think that we should expect that each year, and they'll say, okay, look, it bumped by this much for the upcoming year. I think it's just something we have to expect.
Expansion of landfill. And all that, I mean, I don't.
Dumb question 32. If they're saying granted that this is $2 a bump, or it is in the contract, this is what they're saying, they are paying, I'm trying to get, how do they get the tonnage? So they're measuring the tonnage of trash that they're picking up through the year?
Doesn't the landfill weigh the trucks on the way
Yes.
in?
They must have done some sort of calculation because they're giving us a number, so they must have done some sort of,
Have they,
Estimate.
can they get us that number?
I don't know, they're just telling us how much they're charging us per cart, so I guess they must have,
Per cart?
that's what the charge is.
Well, but
It's 31 cents per cart. He says on,
Okay, so they base it on something, so those.
yeah,
There are 1,100 carts of trash are generating X
yes,
tons
yeah,
a year.
exactly,
Mhm.
right, yeah.
Main
And-
more
And they're
Yeah.
than what we
backing
anticipated.
it out. They're backing that out and saying, well, this is the tonnage that we're doing,
Mhm.
and but we don't have that number. They're just
31
doing it by
cents.
cart.
31 cents a home, yeah, 31 cents. a
So
cart.
they're estimating that the carts average
More than what they
well,
thought.
I bet it's simpler than
a
that.
ton per 10 or. per
Arlen, I
20.
think it's probably, and I don't know for sure, but I think this is probably true, is probably the trucks are weighed. They must have on file, here's the empty weight, here's the empty weight for a truck, comes into the landfill,
Yeah.
gets weighed.
I'm sure
That's for the weight, so they're using that total divided by the number of carts.
Yeah.
And whatever the increase is, per ton, there's gonna be an increase. I don't know if the landfill does it year to year, whatever they do, well, there's gonna be a difference between, say, last year's cost per ton, this year's cost per ton. That extra amount gets divided by number of carts.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, that's great, that may be what they're doing. Can they give us those numbers?
You want those numbers?
I do. Cause that would be something that we could be
I
comparing it
wonder, do
to.
they,
Cause 13 cents a cart doesn't mean anything. If they're running over the scale, they've got tickets.
right,
They're running over the scale and they came up with that 13 cents a cart from something, which is calculated by the weights that are going across the scale.
And I got the sense that they're not saying, we contracted for, we thought you were gonna send us 1,000 pounds of trash. And you're actually sending us 1,241 pounds of trash. I don't think they're saying that. They're saying, we contracted for 1,000 pounds of trash. And last year, to tip that, it was costing $13. And going forward, the landfill is going to charge us $15 for the same 1,000 pounds of trash.
Right.
That's all I think. So they're not saying we're sending them more trash. They're just saying it costs more at the landfill to dump the same amount of trash as it did last year. So I don't think they're basing it on how much trash we're sending them.
Well, we're not.
I think if it were outside of what we contracted for, they would. They're not saying we're outside of what we contracted for.
Well, they're saying the 13 a ton.
Yes.
They're very specific.
That's just the
there.
tipping fee though.
Right.
They're just saying it costs more to dump the same amount of trash at the landfill this year than it did last year.
But the same amount of trash.
Same amount of trash.
I agree. So what is that same amount of trash?
do they, I can't think of what they give us for like an annual report of volume or activity.
I do think if you want to know how much trash we dump, they might tell us how much trash we dump. I mean, if you just want to know if you want to know that, I probably could get that to you, because I think they tell us, in fact, we might even say it on our bill. Mhm.
Or it could be.
I think it might say what we on our bill. Because I know when Stephanie does the recycling grant, she has to calculate all the numbers of all the. It's such a fun job. She calculates all the tonnage.
Hey guys, I'm on and they do give tonnage reports. Pelletary does.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, we can get those, so we can get those for you. It's not on the bill, but it's that separate report, so we can get it for you, Arlen.
Okay. It's a quantifiable number.
Yeah,
It does look like we're spending more than we did last year. At the beginning of last year, our trash was costing us about $11,443 a month. And now it's costing us $11,769 a month
yeah, so why that
in
is.
2024.
Yeah, why that is because we signed our contract mid-year, so our rate changes in the middle of the year. So
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
why
I
our
see that.
contract goes up in the
I
middle
see
of the
that.
year. So that was that was what I wanted to ask is when we, the first year we charged $81.90. And then the second year, when I have to figure out what I'm putting on the tax bill. We take the fuel surcharge. We add it up and then we divide it by all of the property owners.
Right.
The fuel surcharge gets added up. So, and then divided by everybody.
Okay.
So what's on page 125 is that. So there would be another column that would be that landfill tipping fee. And then that would get the same thing divided up between. Is that what everyone would be thinking, correct?
That's fine, I think that
Right.
works.
That's.
No, and they're listing the,
So you have your recycle charge, you have your trash, you have your fuel, and then you have your tipping, and then how that gets divided by the number of carts that are.
Is there anything else and any other component that goes into a total? Besides the fuel, I mean, the car charges, right, fuel, tipping fee, anything else? I think that covers.
No,
I
that's
think
it.
you identified the,
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that, that we're on the same page, that those are getting passed back down to the residents that.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise we're leaving it.
Right,
The town is
exactly.
paying, and
Exactly. Exactly.
We shouldn't have to.
Okay.
Anything else, area landfill related or special assessment related? Okay. Item 11, vision committee report. There is 127, there's. That's okay, 127 is the timeline as of a couple months ago. And one of the things that changed was that based on the number of responses toward the end of March, the Survey Research Center people thought it'd be good to leave the survey open longer. They were concerned they want whatever percentage of respondents as a percentage of possible. I don't know whether it's a percentage of households or it must be households because that's what we started with. Anyway, they didn't think there were quite enough responses and suggested leaving it open for a while. So, and Arlen, you had some feedback from people too, that they weren't sure of the deadline. Yeah.
there is no deadline.
You know, I had a question, a couple of people asked me, said, well, how does all the eligible, first of all, does every eligible voter in the household fill out the survey was one thing. I told him yes. And given that number on there, how do they all do it from that card? I really didn't know the answer, so I don't know if I talked to Jennifer Stephanie as well, just got that number of voters. Every time you go in there, put that same number in. It's just not a tracking number for one vote because somehow they know how many people.
Yeah, it's for
And I'm wondering if that is holding people back from filling the survey out. Okay,
I don't know, we,
my
I know that
husband did it,
we,
so I'm not gonna do it.
I know we explained that in multiple places. Where I totally agree, we didn't have the deadline in any of the upfront kind of communication stuff, but we had that in. At least 3 of the pieces that went out, I think. And
So we
even
get
the-
another card today. Everybody else
Was it the
get one
reminder?
today? I got a reminder card today.
Didn't see it.
I got a reminder card too,
I'm
and there's still no deadline.
Yeah, there's not there is a deadline shown on the town website,
There is?
one of the posts.
I thought I saw something about it being extended to May.
May 2nd,
Yeah,
and really it might.
so I
be a
saw
little
that
bit
someplace.
beyond that. Okay,
Well, I mean,
so
I
in that case,
would really, this is sloppy that they don't put a deadline on this because we're having a little neighborhood meeting to be talking about
right,
some of this.
right. Well, I agree that, but one of the things is the deadline has been kicked around as what is the deadline?
And they
So-
also had the website, the www.
Yep.
Town of Orc. I went into it and this thing didn't work.
I had the same
Really?
experience.
Does it
Oh,
work?
it's the first time.
It bumps you to some other community's survey.
What?
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
I tried to do that, then I figured out how to do the app part, and I did it on my phone.
So
I just did the
phone's the
app
only thing
I
that's.
just
That
scanned
would- that link is not, it doesn't take you to our site, it takes you to some place in Colorado or
Arlen,
someplace
would you
like
pass that
that.
down?
Yikes.
Take a picture of it. Well, that's not cool.
That's, yeah,
As
that's.
we,
And you
I
know,
prefer to do things on
that,
the computer.
yeah, me too, like that, but for those of us that are app challenged, like if, you just fill out the app, forget it, I'm
Here's-
not
here's
getting
where I
that
get it.
card.
I get to the right place.
You do?
Using
Okay,
Arlen's card.
No, if you just
No.
type the.
Oh, let me type that, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
The
You're right.
URL,
Sorry.
yeah.
And what
If
is
you- And it takes you to the right, it is a vision survey, but it isn't for our community. It's,
What is that URL?
It's www.tinyurl.com.
and it might be working now, but I had the same experience.
And then Tim, sorry, Vision 2040 survey.
So after .com, there's a
Slash
yeah.
vision. Yeah. I don't know if case matters, but all the letters are lowercase.
Yeah.
So vision 2040.
Yeah.
Survey. And I get to the correct place.
You do.
Yeah.
You get something.
I do. So I don't
Is
know
it for our community
Double-
though?
yeah. Oh, yeah, it's got our logo.
I know some people were typing T instead of L. So the people that.
Oh, or one instead of L maybe?
Some people were, yeah.
That happens.
Yeah,
That'll
I know some
happen.
people when I was helping them.
So it's type them all. Interesting.
URL.
I'll mention it.
TIN,
Tiny URL.com
any URL.
/ vision 2040 survey.
Okay, so
Maybe it's a typo, but it's weird. Yeah, I'll mention it. I'll get in touch with
but
the Survey Research Center people, but I think. Try it again
In
and just see.
I
my
will.
case, user error would be a good option to pursue, but I had that same experience.
Yeah.
I must have typed something wrong, like you said.
I don't like to do complicated or thinking things
Yeah. What's
as
always
a
bad,
surveys on this.
I don't use my phone.
it's
I
always
use-
bad when you can't just paste the URL
I know,
from,
I know.
when you have to type it, you
I know.
always introduce the likelihood of typos or confusing one for L
No.
or vice versa.
As of today, they are saying that they have 336 responses,
Yeah.
which is good.
Which is not bad.
Yeah.
I think that's over the cutoff.
Yeah,
Considering.
that's great.
The one thing that we're not totally sure about, and I think the group is not totally sure about yet, is what pushing back this deadline will do to the chain of events after that.
Oh,
You know, compiling the report and having a meeting and doing that. So right now, we're thinking that the report It's gonna be in June and fourth.
Okay.
And we'll report on June fourth as the session, but I'm gonna guess that that goes into, farther into June. Sure. I'm gonna guess. And the,
But this is on the June 4th is scheduled for a meeting here.
yeah, it might shift. I don't know, Sharon from UW Extension, I haven't heard from her in weeks. So I know she was planning to retire in the summer.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Right after she's done with our survey.
Please finish the
So I'm gonna come to your house for your meeting. Anyway, so that, I think that, anything else, Jennifer, about the vision? So I like the number, the number of responses, that's good, I would like to look 500, but I don't know. I think most people who were going to do the survey have already done it.
I just
No,
did
I
mine
got
today.
it.
I just did mine today, so.
That's why I said, right now, I'm cutting it off right now.
Floor yesterday and they're doing theirs, so.
And they were, actually, I know that the survey is on the longish side, but one of the, Lindsay at the Survey Research Center said that she was a little surprised that there were that many responses, given the length of the survey.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, any questions about that? And item 12, was there a building permit?
Oh, you know what?
I don't think, I didn't see it.
You know what, I think there's a new system for the building permits. And it is, and I don't have access to that, and so it is, the system is that we have to get it. So there's not, but, so I'll get that to you
Okay.
next month.
That's fine. And then item 13 is, well, overall, for the, I know there's some documents in here that I want to talk about, but overall, we're still, when we get past the survey, have more discussion about it. But I think on page 130, 131. Anything to mention about your emails with Laura?
Just that I had the discussion there. I think they've got their issues on budgeting. But I was just trying to confirm that with the change of staff, were they still interested like they had talked before? And like anything on this, that if they move at warp speed, this could be 5 to 10 years down the pike. That's warp speed, I'd say.
Yeah. Which we're expecting on our side too. So I think, regardless of, so let's say we go through the process and we decide to create the town center. I think this will be a pretty marketable piece of property, regardless of whether it's the village or somebody else.
Well,
How big is
yeah,
this? How big is this?
that have to be decided, and I think there's gonna be a lot of interesting discussion on the part of our residents.
And then the assessors report that we a couple pages later.
Oh, no, this I think is the first time you've had something in writing from the village.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Just because everything right now is
Good point.
I see.
Gee, it would be nice.
Jennifer, do you want to chat about?
Sure. So, we, obviously need an assessor. So everyone likes, so, I put in there what our current contract is with Accurate. And that starts on page 135. So we are in 2025. So this is our market revalue year. Next year, we would go back to our maintenance year. So I asked them for a, think about our, signing another contract for another, another,
5 years?
yes,
Mhm.
sorry.
Right.
And so they suggested like a 6-year blend. So again, it would be another kind of the market update with the maintenance mixed in. And it would be very similar to the yearly. So how they do it, why it's a blend is instead of having a year that would be really expensive, that would be the year that they have to do all the work. They sort of, they just level that out. So we're paying the same each year, which is really good for our budget.
Yep.
And then, and quite honestly, it's, I mean, to be able to like lock in for not much more than what we're
Right,
paying
yeah.
right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I know that I have been contacted by other municipalities when they have had to go to, when they've gone from, when you have that jump from, oh, we have this elected assessor, or we have this, and then we're going, and then, oh, it's like, but we're a pretty big, small township. So I am thinking that I would
Bargain.
recommend that the town, until the state thinks of something different, a different way of how they're gonna come up with assessing properties, I would think the town would be well advised to take that up.
Do
And
we need a motion on that?
I mean, I don't have the contract, but I would say if you could, recommend, and I can then get a contract and then have that. If as long as you, and maybe not a motion, but if you want, then I could just tell them to get a contract here for the next meeting if you're,
Let's do that.
if you guys are good with that.
Yeah.
Are you,
I think that'd be.
Yep.
yeah, I mean, ready to move forward?
And I
Okay.
move that we sign a contract with Accurate not to exceed $24,400 per year over the next 5 years.
25,800. Sorry,
Where's that?
at page 134.
134.
Yeah, it's gonna go up. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. $25,800 per year for the next 5 years on a blended rate.
I would second that.
Any discussion? Another question, do you want to do that now or after the contract draft?
Yeah, we can do, we could.
I
do
mean,
that.
you're up to
Yeah.
covers it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think.
any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes, thank you. Then Tim, is this next one yours?
Yeah, I talked to a few people, a few firms about our park impact fee. If you recall, by state law, in order for us to redeploy our park impact fee, we need to go to an outside council to prepare a park impact fee needs assessment. In your packet, page 143, is a proposal from a company called McMahon Engineers and Architects. McMahon has done park impact fee needs assessments for a number of communities in Wisconsin. So I was just doing some research just to kind of get a benchmark of what it was going to take. I had a conversation with Lori Goes about what we're looking for, but I also wanted her to know that we have spent a lot of time on our park plan. And that I was hoping that it would pay some dividends in that needs assessment proposal. So that proposal is starting on page 143. They are very thorough. They clearly understand the state requirement. I sent them our park plan. And with all of that as raw material, they delivered this proposal. The project fee is estimated at between $18,000 and $20,000, which was a little bit more than I was expecting. Mostly because in my mind, I had a threshold of based on the growth in the township, which we all know is relatively predictable. I wanted to know that that it would pay for itself over a period of time, 3 to 5 years, because law is probably going to change. And the requirement, and we may read right back into one of these assessments. And I wanna make sure it at least pays for itself. If you recall, those park impact fees could range anywhere from $800 per per new dwelling unit to $2,500 per dwelling unit. And it will all depend on what that assessment looks like. And so I mentally thought, you know, if we're gonna get $1,000 for each one of these, how many new building permits for new dwellings in the town of Oregon is it gonna take for us just to pay for the assessment? Yes, Arlen.
Is it new dwelling or new lot? Before it was a new lot, wasn't it?
Well, it's when we get a building permit, right? It happens in the building permit phase.
I can't speak to that, Arlen. They would, I don't know because of the law change, when you can charge the fee. You are asking a question that I am not
Okay.
100%
No.
right.
One
I'm
time it
not
was-
right.
At one time it was a lot.
At one time, they would pay it when they created the CSM. And I don't know if the law changed where it's, you do it when you build the house.
Okay, let's find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that either.
Yeah. So like in this case with him, would he be paying it right now? So would he be paying a park fee on all 4 of them? Or would he not be paying it until he actually went to go build on that?
Before, in the
Yeah.
olden days, it was when he created the lot.
Exactly. And I think it might have changed, but
Let's
I
find
would,
out.
yeah, but I would want to not say
find
that,
out.
yeah.
So we're not looking for any kind of decisions here, but I just wanted to give people a flavor of, here's what this thing is going to cost us. Do we want to pursue it?
Okay, so the range is,
$18,000 to $20,000.
How about timing on? You think it's a 2025 decision? Do you think it's a next year decision?
I think if we're going to move forward, we get going. Only because we just approved 4 more lots.
Right.
Jerry's got his couple of lots.
Right.
There's another lot going over by, you know, off of MM. It's the most building I've seen in the town.
Well, just off the top of my head, with such limited growth as we have,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
think this is a tough one.
Yes, I agree.
And,
agree.
And it almost seems like, you know, a wash.
Yeah.
At best.
And so that's why I bring it up. I can keep pursuing it. I absolutely will keep pursuing it. I'll get at least one other quote, maybe 2 other quotes. I will, you know, again, I kind of took a survey of what those assessments are, but again, at $1,000, it's gonna take us 20.
Yeah,
And this year could be a banner year for building.
right.
We may get a quarter of the way there.
Is that 18,000 over a term of a contract or 18,000 per year?
You know, it's over a term of a
Over a
contract.
term.
Yep. It is literally to fulfill the state law that requires third party needs assessment.
Yeah, so we'd be paying the 1820 this year.
Right.
I think the big question is whether it's new lot or new construction.
And I should be able to get to the bottom of that very quickly.
Because that gives you at least a chance of getting closer to an
Have some
estimate.
sort of surcharge on,
Sure.
whether it's a small, a building permit for a shed going up or having to.
But then the other side of it is, how do we pay for the parks?
Yes, right.
It's just a.
So.
Well, and it's important to remember,
You know, it's like, how much do we value keeping the parks and developing and improving them?
right?
Um,
It's just important to
like you
remember
do.
that we have paid for those improvements out of operating
operate,
since the beginning of time.
which is not
Sustainable.
sustainable.
You know, the likelihood is, so oftentimes, these park assessments are in place oftentimes to create new parks. I'm not anticipating any new parks in the town of Oregon, at least through the end of our park plan. And so it's about maintaining them and keeping them current. You know, we got a huge investment in Kennedy Park with equipment.
Yes, that is a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's a
Given
60
our-
plus.
Our tight
Yes.
resources.
Mhm.
Do you know, given regs now, do we need to renew, like if we go with, have them, looking for the name, what is the name?
McMahon.
McMahon.
Yeah.
If we use McMahon to create their report, their document, their
Right.
analysis, whatever, do we need to renew that every certain number of years?
I don't know,
Given
but I'll
whatever it is
find out.
now?
Yep.
Because that's gonna have a huge effect on everything.
So you're saying, is it a one-time expense or is it an ongoing?
Or even like, is it 10 years or,
No.
I mean, what
Or
are
the
the
life, or
18
the
or
life of the
20?
plan.
Yeah, the 18 or 20,000, do we take it? Yeah, are we just out and we have to maybe do it in 3 years again? I don't know.
No, that's another issue.
The funding of this, is this not something that comes from the park funds? Or is this 18 to 20, does that come from operating?
We could decide that, right? I don't think there's a rule of thumb there. I would say it comes from the park plan, but from the park fund, but
That would make sense.
It doesn't. It seems like it's tied to it.
Yeah.
We should probably pin it down on whether that's true or not.
That's just another one of our budget things that, coming out of operating
yeah.
is a little funky. I would set up a little red flag with McMahon that on their proposal cover, they have the village park, welcome to the village.
They're a neighbor.
Where does it say that?
We have, take the picture.
Oh, got it. Okay,
So the common mistake.
got it.
They're residents who don't know, so
Yes.
we'll give them a pass.
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
All right, so I will get, so the 3 questions I have so far. Do we have to renew this assessment on a regular schedule? And if so, what is that schedule? And does the law provide for a per lot assessment or a per residential building permit? I'll find out. Any other questions people
Would
want?
it be any commercial, I mean, not that we have commercial development happening, but I wonder if commercial buildings are included.
I'll find out.
Yeah, that's something to.
Because that would be bigger dollars than 800, I bet. I mean, that's, I guess.
Okay. Got it.
All right, anything else, Tim?
No.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Jennifer, do you want to skip over the meetings and things first and do your clerk's report items? I feel like that always gets rushed at me. A little complicated.
I don't care.
What about you? We can do it in order now. the way it is.
Sure, we could do it in order.
So let's do 16 then?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Okay, Kennedy Park. So there's, just for reference, I think, I don't think we have any action right now, but there's the letter from Goldman to the or is that, I don't know if Neil is the
It's
owner
the
or the
sun.
son?
The
Okay,
sun.
so I think from the information there, it sounds like it went as well as it could go.
What does it go?
Pardon me?
What does it go?
But no, it sounds like it went as well as it could go in, I think it was Sean. I don't know if it was Roger or Sean who actually went out there.
Roger.
Roger did?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
so in communicating with the residents and their family. I don't know what the action is for us tonight.
We had talked, the board had talked about the possibility of doing some type of like, we reached out to Larry, excuse me, to Bill Morgan. but it sounds like in my talking with Roger that, the son is well aware, that they're working on it. I think we could give it some time if the board feels comfortable. And would we feel comfortable about revisiting this, taking it off the agenda and maybe looking at it again? Or do you want to continue to have it on the agenda and pursue
I think given
the,
the family
easement?
situation, the health situation is, I really don't wanna pressure the family or even the son, not maybe for the family, but not that we're just gonna let it ride, but I don't think we need to be breathing down their neck.
Okay.
So there is the last paragraph, was that they'll be in contact within 60 days to review the status of the corrective actions. I think that.
So if you remember, this is the couple is old and not healthy. The son I think he understands the situation. I think they knew that it was an issue. So I expect that whether it's 60 days or 120 days down the road, I'm fine with 60. I just don't want to have, I don't think we need to look at it every month.
Okay,
No, there's nobody living in that residence. Is that correct, or?
I thought they were living
I
there.
thought somebody was.
Is there?
I think they're in the process of maybe moving one of them out
Has the
and
county, well, has the county, have they done the cleaning on the inside? I don't know, my discussion.
Wait, are we?
I think that they're
Talking about
doing.
Oh, I'm talking about two different.
Yeah.
Because I thought this one.
This is
Hey, Coach Road on Kennedy Park.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
the
that's the
shed.
one. Never mind,
Yeah.
got it.
Next page. Yeah, so,
Okay.
so this one, I think they're living there. The other one, it's debatable.
This one, they're living there, but there's some health things, and I think they're
Yeah.
gonna sell, I think they're gonna be in the process of selling relatively shortly. And so I think they're gonna, and so with this letter being out there, if everyone's comfortable with waiting, but if, so I have Attorney Morgan, if that was my question. Do you want to wait, or are we gonna do, it's important, going to pursue any action with?
Is this letter sufficient? Neil is the son?
Yes.
If they're looking at moving out in the near future, we don't know what near is. And we anticipate that they will be putting this on the market sometime. And does this letter give enough warning to a potential buyer that this needs to be resolved?
Roger talked with Neil and he plans to clean it up, like he plans to make it right.
Okay, what that means, take down the,
Yeah,
taking down the building too?
yeah,
Oh,
The lean to, right?
yeah, it sounds like.
Encroachment
Yeah,
issue.
yeah, it sounds like they're going to do it. It sounds like there's just other more important tasks at hand
okay.
before they can get to that phase of it.
Okay, I want to make sure that it does not get sold to somebody who thinks everything's fine. And then, oh, I didn't see that. Or we didn't give them notice or something.
Right.
So just,
Yeah, so I don't know how to answer that part of the question. Yeah, so
I
I'm
don't
just,
answer either.
yeah, so I was just trying to kind of ask
Yeah.
without
Okay.
putting it on the agenda and having you guys look at it each and not having really much of an update. This is 60 days, so.
I think it's important. It's what's important is that communication has been had. They have responded back. Where
Yeah.
this Neil Rudisall
Yeah.
Has responded back, and so we have something. We're not talking to a vacuum.
I think if we put it on for July,
Okay,
they would run out the clock on the corrections and also give Roger a chance to get us a summary of where things are.
okay, okay.
And then, anything else on that particular issue? The next one is the Eisenhower. Or if there's anything in the
I
packet
don't
about
see
that.
anything in the packet
No.
about it.
I don't have anything, I never heard back from Safeco on that, and I believe that one is still working its way through Dane County. So what I heard from Sean was just that they're still working on it. Those are kind of those issues that I think work their way slowly. So, at some point, I don't know when they become public or when things are private. I'm not privy to that. So again, I don't know if you want me to continue to add that on there. I don't know unless I hear something. I'm not really quite sure.
I think we did our part.
Okay,
On Eisenhower, I mean, if the county is, yeah, that's the, well. I don't know what else we can do. I mean, I don't know that we're even the ones to track it now.
unless we get another complaint, I suppose.
Well, then that would be,
We pass it to the county.
Have you had complaints from the immediate neighbors?
Not recently, no.
I'm surprised at that.
Well, we have that parcel, we also have the one that's right next to Bicentennial Park.
That's been sold.
Pardon?
That's been sold.
That's gone.
It's been sold, that nothing has happened there, but it's
Okay.
been, that property's been sold.
Okay, but
To
there's
somebody.
still, there's a condition issue there.
Yes,
And it was brought to my attention that we have a condition issue on Bellbrook Road.
well, that's where that fire
was
was.
that fire?
Oh, I don't know.
So-
Again, I have, and so again, when I get a call from the county, I mean, it's like we're working on the issues. I'm not always privy to things that are happening.
Somewhere in there, I don't think we have been somewhat powerless on dealing with condition issues. Do we want to get involved in these things? Are we responsible for these things? I don't have a good answer for that.
Here's my reaction. I don't know if it's 100% correct, but my first reaction is that we would be responsible for responding to a complaint.
Yes.
And we have had.
And we've done that. I don't know that we should, I don't know. I don't know that we should
can
go out
respond, but we
searching.
don't come up with a solution.
Say that again?
We have responded and said, we have received your complaint, and we really haven't resolved those issues.
Because the resolution for us might be referring to the county.
Yeah.
So I mean, then in that sense, we haven't resolved the entire problem because that's not really our role. So that's my take on it, I guess.
I think you're right, and as long as we understand that.
We don't want squads going around and inspecting people's property from the street or, that. But the people who live there are gonna have a better sense of, oh, that camper's been there for 10 years and it's got the doors, the windows are broken out and I've seen raccoons and, just stuff like that where it is not just necessarily, or not at all based on cosmetics, but based on risk.
Yeah.
Risk of injury.
I noticed there was I was by there a few weeks ago, there were a couple pickup trucks there that had new lumber.
Oh.
So I have no idea if they're doing anything.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
We
That involves
also have
building permit
some abandoned properties that are not a
Yeah.
living hazard, but are, very significant, one on Fish Hatchery
Yeah.
Road.
Yeah.
And it's abandoned, it's rotting.
Mhm.
Is that's something we want to deal with?
Somebody did bring that up recently, and I don't know if it was somebody on one of our committees or I don't know. So
It's an unresolved thing.
right, and I don't.
Are we going to get involved in these things? I don't think we could solve it tonight.
Not unless the complaint is,
I mean, I feel like a complaint triggers our reaction. I mean, I know that that's not
and the complaint has to be valid too. Is it a safety hazard? Is it a,
right.
Yeah. Our kids, seen coming in and out of the place.
Right.
I think it needs to be a complaint and a valid complaint more than looks like that place is gonna fall down.
And the complaints need to be in line with our nuisance
Yes.
ordinance.
I can think of the one time where the building inspector was trying to recommend to called raise a building, like when it, yeah, and we would have to have some money behind that, because I think there's money that you'd have to have lawyer fees and things like that.
For condemnation.
So there'd also be some monetary
Right.
money you'd want to make sure you have set aside if we're gonna be pursuing things like that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Not to put money, but there's always money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, anything else on Eisenhower?
Can I take that off then? For now?
Okay, I
Okay,
think so.
thank you.
So does everybody
I'm good with that.
generally
Okay.
agree? It's not a, it's not, we've done it. I think. Let's, okay, can we do this, because I think looking at the schedule might take a little while. Not that the clerk's report won't either, but let's do the clerk's report before we get to the very, very end of it. And so if we do it now and then circle back to the dates for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm. So, we have part of my portion of like the borrowing package was the computers. We were due last year for computers, but that was the middle of the presidential election, so we wanted to postpone them to this year. We met with Computer Magic and we talked about what we could do, what we absolutely had to replace and what we could sort of get away with. What we want to do is we have to replace the computer in Stephanie's office and my office and put one up at the front counter. So that would be 3 mini computers. There would be, the guys have one laptop that they share. They would each get a laptop. And they would each get a screen in addition to their laptop. There would be then a screen up at the front counter. So I think that covers, what we have here. So I think I originally, it was like 5,000 and it's 7,500, it's gone up. But this also includes now, I've looped in the guys into this as well. I've looped in, so I did this, putting the guys' computers in there, but we can talk about that later, whether or not this is something we'd want to do. So that's the computer situation, $7,500. The copy machine. So we currently lease a copy machine that's obviously in the office.
Can we do this?
Yeah.
Like a 5-minute recess?
Absolutely, yeah,
Sorry.
no,
Yeah.
no.
So the-
2.5 hours in already.
Mhm.
Ryan and Abel.
Yeah.
These first 2 computers. Ryan and Abel.
Yeah, well, I don't know, we probably would actually give,
The meeting that I didn't call, put into recess, I'm gonna call back to order. 6 months still. Let's see,
Okay, so then the second one I had was, page 159. Our copy machine is currently leased. 159 is, I sent our lease to the Department of Revenue to see if that lease would qualify to add it onto our levy as a debt payment. It does not. So, that would lead us to, 158. I had for flesh out, they said, yep, no, we can't do anything that would meet the DOR's requirement, so we would have to buy that outright. That lease is actually up towards the end of the year, so we have two options. We could roll that amount of money that we could buy a copy machine into the current financing we do. We could wait and hold off. We always do borrow towards the end of the year for fire and EMS capital. So we could wait and we could do it more towards the end of the year when we borrow at that time. Right now, it's a $260 is what, $268 a month is what we pay on our copy machine. I think that was a 5-year lease on our copy machine. That does include, like, their service contract is included in that fee, which we probably will still have a monthly service fee for, like, the service on it, which I asked him for it. He just hasn't sent that to me yet. So that's something that we just have to talk about and nail down. I think you want to have the option of having that to be able to add that onto your levy. I don't think you would. I don't know why you wouldn't. You're paying the same thing out. I mean, you don't have to, but I don't know why you wouldn't. That would be, you know.
Is there, just out of curiosity, is there an option to buy is there an option to buy this copy machine at the end of the lease?
That I don't know. I can ask him. I can ask him. I
You
did
said
not ask him.
$268 a month or?
Right now, that's what we pay. Right now, we pay that in our, that's what we pay. All right, and then the third thing is we have Badger books. That's what we use for the election. We really should have probably bought one. I could not have predicted what people wanted to do, but really they swung back to really wanting to do some in-person voting this year. We just need another one to help us process the in-person absentee voting. We have to sign numbers. That's what we're doing at the back of the room if you come in on election day. And getting through all of those is really timely, assigning numbers to them. And you're working on that computer and not disrupt the people that are coming through and using the Badger books up there. So on 171, again, that's another updated quote. I asked her. That was about $2,000. I should have done it. Hopefully, like tariffs or whatever don't impact that, but that would be another one. I actually took that out, but I would like to add that back in for the governor election. I feel like people were swinging back towards just going towards in-person voting after COVID, but now it seems like they're swinging back to going back to voting absentee. So it just, yeah. I can't figure it out, so.
So, what does this mean? So we have Badger Books is.
Badger Book is that computer when you come in and vote, yeah.
Right, but I'm just looking at what, dollars and cents it is.
2,000. It's on page 172.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that the cost? What's the option? Not doing it,
Yeah,
which means how many more people?
it just means that, it would mean that we would probably be here later at night. It would mean
Yeah,
much more frustration for the
This seems
election
like a,
workers.
it seems like a cost of doing business.
It's the cost of doing business. So
Yeah.
those were my items from that financing package that I wanted to wrap up in that. All right,
Can
so,
I see,
yeah,
who maintains, sort of like the copier maintenance, right?
Mhm.
Who maintains the Badger books?
right now we haven't had any like maintenance on them. They're kind of like, so we haven't had anything done on
Okay,
them. Like, they're kind of like, they don't really, we put a USB drive in them. They're not connected to the internet. They're just basically like a screen. You power them up in their screen and then you
Okay.
put a USB in them and that's it.
okay,
And that's all you use. And then we box them back up in the same box they came in. Then so they're 4 times a year. That's
Okay.
it. They're used one,
So they maintain them, they send them to you.
no,
Ready to
they're,
go.
they're in there.
Oh,
They're in there.
oh, okay.
That's it. They're
Alright,
they're
so-
basically like a screen
right.
with a keyboard.
Just a
That's it.
terminal. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Well, okay, there must be software though. Are there software updates for the
When
machine
I
itself?
put
I'm not
the
talking
US
about, I'm not talking about for, well,
When I put the USB in it, that updates the software.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alright, okay.
Yeah, that's how I update the software.
So let's say for,
So-
well, we don't need to go into this. Okay, so that's fine.
So it's magic in my eyes.
Okay, perfect.
So.
Perfect. Okay, that's cool. All three of these are just informational.
Yeah, so then there was some information on, we have a municipal judge. And if anyone follows in the news, there is, some information on, that they can have some privacy. So I just wanted to include that. Actually, Beth is one of our poll workers, and as you know, Sherry's her daughter, so I shared that information with her so that she could pass that along. We did finish with our audit. I did not include that because our packet is incredibly long. But if we meet, I can share some of that information with you then. Obviously, everyone, congratulations on the election. The election results are included in the packet. I have your official oath, if you can sign that, and thank you. The item E is on page 189. There is a homeowner at the very end of Country Meadows Road. She owns both lots. And she is just readjusted the lot line. She currently owns a home on lot 1. That's her home. She owns lot 2. She is going to build her, she said it very cute, stay in place home, something like that.
Age in place?
Yes, age in place home in lot 2.
Okay,
So, she will live in her home on lot 1 while she does that. So I'm not quite sure if it's septic, driveway, for whatever reason, she just needed to adjust those lot lines. So, typically we would have this go through, there's no rezone, so I signed off on that CSM, but I just want to make sure everyone's aware. She has Abel's number for getting a driveway. Obviously, this is on a cul-de-sac, so there's a little bit different. But that's what that is.
yeah, and I should just say, the clerk signing on things like this is standard practice.
Yeah,
at least
right,
it has
yeah.
to be.
Yeah, right. I mean, I would obviously, when I don't feel, but this situation is there's
She's not
much.
creating another lot.
There,
She's not
yes.
Okay, so
making one
these-
smaller than
these
our
were-
requirement.
These were 2 lots. It always has been 2 lots.
Yeah,
She changed the property line. I don't know what it was before. Was it that little dash
yes,
line there?
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's the dash
that's
line.
the dash line. Yeah, that's what it was before, and she made it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's wooded, pretty wooded over in that area.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we looked at it on Google Earth, so.
Okay.
She's very nice, very nice person, so.
I was gonna say, when do we send these things to the plan commission? I'm trying to remember which one.
Usually if it's
It's a
between,
variance.
usually if it's between two property owners, or if it's like, you know, if it's requiring a rezone or something like that,
Rezone or variance?
yeah, but this
Okay.
one seemed pretty
I'm just trying.
straightforward. We are going to be out of the office, May 8th. We're going to attend a meeting, what we're kind of excited about. We're going to learn about Access Day, and we'll be back in the afternoon. I have that we're going to be gone. It's the morning, but we'll be back sometime during, so let everyone know. I think that brings us to the end of. Then the last part was just needing to finalize that loan form, which is what we actually want to borrow. Which if we decide what we're gonna pick for a date to meet, maybe we could then do that at that time as
A
well.
work session.
Yeah.
That meeting.
Yeah, when you talk about the fire and EMS.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Sure. let's do that.
Sounds great.
You wanna blow the rest of the night on fire and EMS?
Nope. That's good. I'd like some dinner. Okay, so let's circle back to 16C. Actually, we've got a couple of things to schedule, so are we gonna be able to set that meeting without knowing what?
I would say
Okay.
16C might be a little bit difficult, because I don't know quite when Ryan's coming back, so maybe you wanna wait. And
Yes.
see that, if you wanted to do it with all the employees,
Yeah, for sure.
do you wanna wait till, okay.
Let's do that, and then we'll know the schedule. And we should, would Sheldon do you think Sheldon would want to participate in like a staff meeting?
I think he would have to be after 2 in the afternoon.
After 2, okay, but we don't even know it.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think it'd be good to have Sheldon there too. Okay, so then, we want to try to schedule a work session for the fire and EMS discussions, and then also the loan application. We were originally going to talk about, well, originally we had the employee meeting scheduled for 2 days from now.
That's right.
And I'm, with a catch, I'm available now. So
This is for Friday.
this is for,
Thursday
well,
or
either
Friday.
Thursday or Friday. Yeah. I was talking about Thursday because I think that's what we said.
Okay, so we delete that one, right now.
Before you delete it, we had it in, I don't even have it on here. We had it in. It was more in the middle of the day, I think, over lunch.
It was 11:30 to 12:30.
Yeah, I'm not available that day until like probably 4:30. Well, 4:30 and on. Yeah. And I don't know if that works. Yeah, same.
No,
So-
not for this Thursday.
I just can't do it. I've got to work. I've got to just do it. Friday I'm wide open, at least now.
I am not available in the afternoon, but could be in the morning on the 11th.
I'm good in the morning also.
Morning.
I'm good in the morning.
I could come, I have to be
You're
somewhere at
available.
1, but I.
Friday morning? Yes.
Okay, should we,
I think there's something with Wendell going on that day, but I'm not gonna go to it, so.
And this would be what? The,
the work session to talk about the fire and EMS with Belleville and with Oregon. 2 different, I mean, really,
starting at what time?
does 9 o'clock?
9
work?
Sure.
Works.
That's good.
That's when we have the road. Maybe.
Oh,
No, we meet at 9.
okay.
So I know Arlen is around and up and
Arlen, are you available?
in the.
I'm sorry.
I'm grousing because I usually have some personal PT that time, but this has got to get done.
Okay,
So, and then we'll also, so the three agenda items.
okay,
fire and EMS loan application.
So blocking out 9 to 12.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate.
I might find other things to add to that agenda. I'm just kidding.
Pardon me
I
again?
said I might find other things to add to that agenda.
Oh. be
Easy.
careful. And then we also talked about the building committee, but I think we need to check in with Abel and Ryan first on that. Is that what we decided? To see if
So
there's,
would we want to consider
Stephanie.
that to be something that we are going to take out a second loan for? Or do we want to add that for this, or is that going to be a project that we would want to?
well, I don't even think there are enough roadblocks with the site at this point that I don't even, I wouldn't want to delay like the bigger loan. Is that
Yeah,
what
that's,
you're getting at?
yeah, that's what I was getting
I
at.
don't think we can. Separate.
Okay,
That's just. There are so many. There are a lot of unanswered questions.
There's a bunch of funkiness.
I don't think we're like a half a step away from signing that,
okay.
which is unfortunate because I'd like to get that done.
That's good.
So, so we'll,
Friday, April 11th, 19th.
and then there's a list of future meeting dates. The, part of 16 is also future agenda items. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna say here, but I think we need to at least evaluate the potential impact of funding, federal funding on the farm property.
On the what, on
The
the,
farm owners and farm properties here. What the impact might be if programs get stopped or.
that's pure speculation.
We don't know. No, we don't know. Absolutely.
They're gonna have more issues of, having the markets tariffed out.
Well, that's true, that's also true. Yeah. But it's something, it, for a while, it's like, oh, it's not gonna affect us as a town, but it definitely affect residents. So. But maybe it's not an immediate future type of item, but if it's to come along somehow.
I'll let you know.
Okay, anything else, before we wrap this up, and thanks for staying late, I know for a while. A little bit long. Okay, without objection, then we are adjourned. Thank you.
Beautiful.